to me, at this point, I'm just so distrusting. I just don't trust anything. And I just, I sorry, I'm just trying to do a couple of shares real quick. Oh well. So I got this message yesterday from a random page, born LGBTQ page, and I thought it was interesting, So obviously I share dudes kissing is gay, and then we end up having this back and forth, right? And so this guy, oh, I mean, it must be in English. All right. I sent him our song is gay. So he says, interestingly, mainly only in our Western culture is dudes kissing gay. In many cultures, two men kissing has different cultural meanings. I mean, no. I mean, I'm sure there are situations like where you see guys kiss each other, whatever. But French kissing each other, yeah, that's pretty gay. So I said, it's a pro-gay song. He said, yes, I realized I just added a little bit of side trivia. I said, I appreciate it. I like it because it's true and it has a double meaning. And then I sent him Operation Kirk. He said, I am British and older gay man. This song that was a big pro-gay song, pro-gay influence song for our fight for gay rights in Britain, and still is today, is quite powerful and worth listening to. Tom Robinson, Glad to Be Gay. He says, the music industry have done us proud over the decades with plenty of influential pro-gay groups, songs, and artists. We owe a lot to their continual support. I said, that's just weird that you would say. I said, as long as you don't expose the genocide by Israel, you'll be okay. He said, thankfully, we stick to LGBTQ issues here. I said, yeah, but who do you think controls the narrative that made gay a bad thing for so many years? They still would, but it's not okay anymore. They are the worst people in the world. I don't discriminate. I fight against all discriminate. Fight against discrimination in all its forms. So he says, this is where it gets kind of weird. And I just, it's like it's such a difficult conversation with people because you start to see certain elements that you'll see here in a minute. He said the discrimination against LGBTQ is mainly spread by the Christian church in the Western world and not Jewish or anything to do with Israel. I study LGBTQ history. It is true, though, that several other religions also did the same for many centuries. I said, LOL, watch Hollywoodism before saying that. Ever think your history is manufactured? And this is the part that's always so frustrating, is that the arrogance, because it comes down to arrogance. As always, it always comes down to arrogance. And people want to believe that they know. They've done, a lot of people are fooled, a lot of people have been duped, a lot of people have been tricked, but not them. They know, they somehow have access to more information. So I said, I sent Hollywoodism made by them, and Jay's made control Christianity. It's not gay history, it's history. He said, oh dear American centrism and conspiracy theory. I said, everything is a conspiracy. It just depends on what side you subscribe to. He said, and yes, history can focus on different aspects and subjects. I can tell I am speaking to an American, LOL. I said, yeah, but it's what we ignore that's our biggest issue. And then I said, there's that British arrogance. He said, not at all. Hollywood did not exist when the prejudice that led us to today started. Grief. I study history back before the USA even existed, but you go on the belying it is all only in the 20th century. You see what I mean? You see this a lot. When people can't address what's being said, they make up something else to it, right? They make up this narrative that they can argue. Nobody ever said anything about gay hatred only being in the 20th century, but this is what he said. And he said, and try to realize that the USA is only one country and quite a young one. There are 200 more. I said, the difference between you and I don't just believe the history we are given. And Hollywoodism explains who gives us that history. Or do you really think people on donkeys with no power tools built the Britain you love so much? LOL, the hardest fight is against the arrogance we are programmed with. He said, okay, I am aware that in the United States, USA, you get a glamorized education in history. That is not how it is taught everywhere else. I said, well, what? Just say, I believe what I'm told, since that's clearly the case. And then I said, I'm going live in a minute. I hope you join us. He says, how we get taught history really is different from how it is taught in the U.S. I don't know if you're aware of that. I said, duh. I'm not talking about pushing what we are taught. You are. So then he starts giving me all these long things that I really don't necessarily want to read. I guess I could. Gay sex is disgusting. Good morning, Matt. Gay sex is disgusting. For me. For gay people, I'm sure it's not, but sex is disgusting. What are you talking about? All sex is disgusting. You know how it's disgusting? Because you won't do it with everybody. You know? If sex wasn't disgusting, you'd have sex with anybody and wouldn't care. But sex is gross. The concept of sex is gross. Put my mouth on your mouth and your tongue, and then different parts of your body. You're going to do this my thing inside your thing, and we're going to rock together. Like, it's all gross. It's such a weird, like, it's such a dumb argument. People always, again, when people can't make arguments, they say goofy shit. And now, like, gay sex is disgusting is probably one of the better arguments if it wasn't, if there was a little more added to it. Like if you said, to me, it's disgusting or whatever. But, to pretend like gay sex is disgusting, but regular sex is just super fun and everybody should do it. You're just lying to yourself. So he says, I never said that. I was spelled wrong. Your statement that prejudice against gay people around the world only started in the USA and is a Jewish-run conspiracy through Hollywood. Did you guys hear me say that at all? Did you guys hear me say anything about it only is in the USA and started in Hollywood? You see what I mean? Like it's a weird level of stupidity that is pushed on us. It's this arrogant, ignorant, insecure stupidity. And it's so strong. I don't see any comments. I see 3 from you and then 1 before you, some doofus that's been here many times. Joined 13 years ago with no subscribers. One of those people. Dude is just pro-lime. I don't know what that means. Oh, I thought you were saying a different one. We were all good. My misinterpretation. Okay. I just, I guess I should continue reading. It's kind of pointless to continue reading. I know the shit this guy is going to say. I already know all your arguments. You don't know mine. You've never thought about things from the way I'm presenting them. This stuff that you're talking about is all really commonplace. Everybody's thought these things. Everybody's made these arguments one way or another. But let's just see. Remember, This is an old gay man. I know for a fact that is not the case. Before the Reformation, it was the Catholic Church that were persecuting us, hanging us, burning us, etc. Go back many hundreds of years, not Israel. There was no America. There was no Hollywood. I have recently been reading church court records on the Inquisition having 200 monks burnt at the stake for being gay in Belgium. In medieval times, for instance, the Knights Templar were killed for being gay, among other things. I said, you believe what you're told. Got it. I mean, it's really fucking insane. Right? I'm so glad you have such a high opinion of me, but it's not true. No, I don't know everything. But I do know what I'm talking about. And I'm very, very good at what I'm talking about. Now, if you want to talk about how do you build, an ice cream machine, I couldn't fucking tell you. If you want to talk about the gross national product of Kyrgyzstan, I don't fucking know. But look at this. Look at how the dumbass just shows their dumbass, right? It's amazing how, I mean, I appreciate it, right? I appreciate the insistence on showing what a fake clown character you are. Whether it's real or not, you're a character. You're a caricature of a person. You're just a dumbass. And that's what it is. You know, you don't know how to make intelligent arguments. And unfortunately for you, I even address your stupid arguments, but point out how stupid you are in doing so. And it's just it causes this like kerfuffle, this stupidity to boil up. If you're YOUR dumb, you gotta be tough. Yeah, I guarantee you're not tough. I guarantee you're just a fucking clown. You're not tough at all. You're a gross pedophile, and that's it. You know, we need to eliminate all of you pedos as soon as we possibly can. Pretty simple. Like, what is it? It's just it's amazing how, you know, this is one of those guys that is gay, you know, that just doesn't that believes it's a choice because it is for him, right? If you think gay is a choice, it's because it's a choice for you, because you choose not to act on those things. And this is one of those dumbasses. These guys talk like 12-year-old discovering they are gay. Yeah, well, I mean, it's inbred Israeli, you know, stupidity the majority of the time. Whether it's an actual inbred Israeli friar or it's one of their bots, it still has the same foundation. I love the attention. You see that? They love the attention. And because they're not capable of getting attention, like Matt's capable of getting attention by being a normal real human being. But when you don't have that because nobody likes you and you're just a fucking weirdo who has to hide who you are because it'll out you, then you do that. You as a human, you need interaction, you need attention. You know, we all need, we're social creatures by nature. And when you can't get attention in a good way, yeah, this is exactly what you do. Right? Yep, I love you so much. That's how much you're loved. Fuck it. I don't care about those people. So anyway, let's continue reading. He says, research is done by going through ancient records from many sources and not by believing a false narrative. There is a big difference between being dictated to and proper historic research. I mean, again, look at this guy's like arrogant narrative coming through in that apparently I'm speaking from like a popular place. Like his whole thing, he's actually making the same argument I'm making. He's just making it in an ironic way. He's making it in a hypocritical kind of way. He doesn't realize it, but he's not making a reasonable argument. He's being, he has to create his arrogance. And because I'm right about what I'm saying about him and it bothers him, he has to, he's gonna it worked. I bothered him, so maybe if he says those same things back to me, it will bother me. That's his hope. That's his goal. But he's sitting here pretending like, I'm speaking from a place where I've been dictated to, and that I'm not doing research. I'm speaking like somebody else does. Who have you ever heard talk like me? Ever? That's why I'm censored like nobody else, because I talk like nobody else does. But this is, you'll see. He says, let's see what more bullshit he has to say. When studying history, the first thing you learn is to research, not go by a set narrative. This guy's so goofy. Because again, what set narrative am I going against? Where have you ever heard anyone tell you that history is a lie? All of it. So what you think of is just the regular shit is a lie. You think you're doing this research by reading the stuff they want you to read and not asking any questions. It's a weird thing, and I even sent this guy the the link to this feed and encouraged him to come through. Funny how he hasn't shown up. He's gonna type a novel worth of comments, but he won't show up. Henry VIII set the Buggery Act in my country into law, giving a death sentence to gay people in 1533, and wasn't overturned until 1835. Okay, you say that was a J conspiracy started in USA through Hollywood, but I am very sure there is no USA. There was no Israel, and there's almost no Jews in Britain, as they had been kicked out of the country. This is actual history. You can research it yourself. Yup. Unless, of course, you think Hollywood and the USA existed in 1530. See what I mean? Like, he just can't. Pam, good morning. It's been a long time. How are you? He just can't wrap his head around it. He just can't. Like, he can't. He thinks that I'm saying that Hollywood is the one doing it, instead of understanding that Hollywoodism is why you believe the history that you believe. That's the thing that you just don't understand. That's the thing that most people just don't understand, right? And this guy is a great example of it. The fact that you think history is accurate, at least when it pushes your thing. That's exactly what I'm talking about, right? He thinks, he'll say things are a lie, but then when it fits his narrative, he's like, see, history says this. Yeah, in 1533, Because, big old... You can definitely believe whatever narrative they tell you about what 1533 looked like. What was going on in 1533. Like, this is just, you know what I mean? This is that hump that's so hard to get over with people. Unless, of course, you think USA in 1533. This is how it always has to work. The last person to be hanged in Britain for being gay was in 1835. Yeah, long before Hollywood, when they changed it to prison sentences with hard labor. Such a doofus. Such a fucking doofus. When Britain steamrolled the Americans, the anti-gay laws that had been active here in Britain were also enacted in the U.S. and were kept in the U.S. after independence. Sadly, my country and several other European countries transferred their Christian anti-gay laws to America, colonial, before the... Like, this guy just doesn't understand. He keeps... And Hollywood did nasty stuff they did. Like, this guy just doesn't understand the argument being made. There is no denying that they did a lot of further damage in the 20th century, but they did not invent homophobia prejudice that goes back a lot further, blah, 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 blah. Through a long history that seems you are totally unaware of. Yep. Yep. So instead of talking about Christianity, let's talk about what created Christianity. Why don't you understand that? Why don't you understand that your 1533 King Henry VIII narrative is manufactured? You know? When Britain controlled the Americas, there are no denying when the Romans converted to Christianity, they were in occupation across most of Europe, and they introduced the first anti-gay laws. Please tell me where they watched anything from Hollywood that would not exist for nearly 2,000 years. Get him, Rose, get him. Rosie, get him. Oh, man. It's just crazy. Like, it's crazy that this guy just keeps hanging on to the narrative without even see, the thing about somebody like that is it doesn't matter what sort of information I provide him. I say, here, go watch Hollywoodism. This will tell you why you think the way you do, why you believe history is what it is. Doesn't necessarily mean it's true. What's important is that you believe it's true. And then it is true, right? That's how that works. And they just, it's like he just doesn't understand and won't. Refuses to. And because there's no... I'm not going to join in a mad conspiracy side of the... he just proved the point. He just proved my entire point. I'm not going to join in a mad conspiracy site that are full of people who know no knowledge of history. I didn't get my degrees to argue with idiots. So, name calling is a very educated thing to do. But it's arrogance. I am very willing to be wrong, but I'm not going to entertain total incorrect rubbish. I said you're just a typical arrogant gay guy. And that's it. That's the end of it, right? getting over being sick, actually. No, it's this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like it doesn't matter what the argument is. It all comes from the same place. It all comes from the same perspective. You know.
Keep the door open. Nathan, open your wide. Alright, guys. Nathan, who said you could play games today?
You did.
No, that was yesterday.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun to try to navigate there. Oh. So that's what I mean. Like, so this is this lack of understanding that is so strange and so prominent. It's that arrogance, man. It's amazing how. Did you look outside, sweetheart? It's snowing. It's amazing how arrogance just dominates the landscape. He said something, but I don't care. I already explained the. Who gives a fuck? Just a clown. It's that arrogant clown, and it's the hardest thing to get over, right? This dude is basically acknowledging that he's wasted so many years of his life looking into false narratives and believing them without truly questioning any of it. And you'll see that consistently. You know, people only believe what they want to believe. It literally comes down to, you know, how you choose to see things, how you want to see things, right? I gotta.
Get it off the ground. Nathan, I don't care what you think right now. I need you to just listen.
So he says, or do you think only his started in 20th century USA? Like, he's just so stupid. But I said, you know, he makes this another long argument. I said, I thought you weren't going to argue. Stop being a coward. And that's really what it comes down to. If he knew he was right, if he knew that he wasn't going to get smashed, he would come here and continue doing what he's doing here. It's so stupid. He just keeps having to believe that I don't think history goes back before the 20th century. That's his whole narrative. No cowardice here. You need a better education in history and realize that it goes back a lot farther than the 20th century. Like who the fuck, like, again, do you understand how stupid this guy is? He's making up his own arguments so that he can, you know, so that he can paint his perspective, his arrogant perspective. In his world, the only way his arguments work, I actually do believe that history started in the 1900s. Oh shit. Hang on. We're gonna have to do something about this here. I got something I'm looking at. So you're gonna have to stick with me for a minute while I do some back and forth. Right quick. I see. Hang on, just hang on. About 3 minutes that you're gonna have to deal with this. That's it. I'm counting in my head. Ooh, just hang on. We're almost there. Just hang on. We're almost there. Hang on. All right, we're done. That's all it took. Oh yeah. So so how do we climb this hill? How do we get over this hump? How do we get past people's arrogance? At the end of the day, that's all it comes down to. Like, it's amazing how arrogant people are, especially when they go, well, I've looked into it, so I know. I've done lots to convince myself. You know? Well, they have an interview with a guy who said that he saw it. So? Like, understand that your narrative, like even today, right? It came out really recently. First of all, what happened with the hurricane in Jamaica? I stopped hearing anything about that a while ago. But secondly, it's like you just I don't know what I was gonna say. I got lost in the Jamaica thing. It made my head go in a different way. I was gonna say something, but I forgot what I was gonna say. It's just arrogance, man. It's all just it's all just arrogance. What a fucking dumbass. So now he says, okay, have it your way. You think the Romans watched 20th century Hollywood? Henry VIII and the Tudor times watched 20th century Hollywood. Why did not even colonize the Americas? Or we did not even colonize them until 1607. And Hollywood did not come, and so I'm confident. Sorry. You told me Hollywood and Jews introduced gay prejudice. Did I? told me Hollywood and Jews introduced gay prejudice. Actual history says otherwise. Like this is exactly what I'm saying. Not seeing many comments today. It's rare to see who said that. There's comments here, but they're not really coming through that much. No, this guy is on Facebook. I don't know. No, there's not very many comments today. There hasn't been. They've been getting, it just makes everybody look bad. The more shit they say, the better I look. So I think they're catching on. The Buggery Act was enacted in 1533. Please explain how Hollywood influenced that. That's what the fuck this guy is saying. You are dual. No, this is just a conversation in Messenger that I'm having with this guy who has a gay page. But this is a great example of how it really doesn't matter who you are. Like people want to think we're all so different. People want to think that we're all, everybody's so unique, but everybody reacts the same way to being challenged, right? He says, I am not. I honestly want to know how you think Henry VIII watched Hollywood. I said, LOL, who said that? You're a coward. I'm bored later. He's just a coward. And that's truly what you'll see in this realm. Like there's this real big shit going on right now between Nick Fuentes and Ben Shapiro, right? Have you guys seen that? And it really comes down to Nick Fuentes has been saying for years, Ben Shapiro, just debate me. Let's just have a debate. As far as ratings go, it'll be one of the biggest debates ever. It'll dwarf the presidential debate. And Nick Fuentes has been saying it for just let's talk, dude. Let's just talk about it. And because of that fear, because Ben Shapiro knows that his entire foundation is bullshit. As much of a clown as Nick Fuentes is, he knows Nick would just wreck him. And you're seeing this. It doesn't matter whether it's Nick Fuentes, whether it's Ben Shapiro, because Nick Fuentes is never going to have an argument with. He says, you said homophobic laws were introduced by a Jewish conspiracy in Hollywood. I want to know how this Hollywood influenced. If you wanted to know, if you really wanted to know, you'd stop being such a coward and click on a link. No one is asking you to work hard. I couldn't help it. He just keeps, but I only keep going back to it because it's exactly what I'm saying. You'll see this. You see. It doesn't matter whether it's a Christian, whether it's a Jew, whether it's a Trump supporter, a Biden supporter. It really doesn't matter who it is. A gay guy. This is the guy that runs the Born LGBTQ page. It's a pretty decent sized page. And he's doing the same thing that people have done the hymn for, so what you're saying is, or you're saying, and that's, if anytime anybody starts doing that shit, it's a telltale sign that they've hit that wall. So what you're saying is, like, they can't go any other direction. And this is that thing, like, I'm really glad to have experienced this on a side where you wouldn't expect it. You would expect somebody who's experienced so much discrimination and hatred and fuckery to be more open-minded. But it's like my sister-in-law, right? My sister-in-law believes in God. She's a really staunch Christian, and she's as bull-dyke as they get. Luckily, they named her Alexandra so she could go by Alex, because she would have had to change her name. She didn't. She's not actually trans. She's just one of those fanny pack lesbians, She'll end up walking like this one day, and she'll get with a chick that's looks the exact same as her, both of them in their little haircuts and their big fat bodies and Birkenstocks and shit, unshaven legs. Like, of course, I got nothing against her. I'm so glad that those people exist, so they could find each other and be happy together. Like, there's no discrimination whatsoever from my side. As a heterosexual male, I always liked the idea of gay guys because it was less competition. And it's usually the best looking guys too, so cool. Go dance with your gay friend, let him get you all hot and bothered, and then come sit with me and I'll make some jokes from a dark corner. We can talk about how stupid all the bread and circus is that we're actually doing at the time. It's funny. My feed got all the way up to 10 whole viewers. And now we're back down to 2. Interesting. It's very interesting how it all works. But like I say, isn't it strange to see the same argument coming from a different source? Like Matt's even the same, right? Matt's one of my biggest fans, and I like Matt. I'm glad Matt's here. But Matt does the same thing. When it comes to trans stuff, Matt, like a switch gets flipped. And instead of being able to maintain a reasonable dialogue, discussion, debate on the thing, ridiculousness starts coming out. And it's ridiculousness that doesn't normally come out of this. Like with Matt's smart. Matt sees through lots of bullshit. And yet somehow when that one switch is flipped, he like turns into a robot. And that's and even the idea that I'm pointing this out, the fact that I'm pointing this out is going to make him upset. Why? If what you think is the right thing, if you're correct, you shouldn't be upset when people talk about it or talk about you or expose you. You should be proud. Yes, I'm right. So go ahead, talk about it all day. But that's not how this works. And it really doesn't matter what the thing is. If we're part of, I would say if we're part of Western society, it works that way, but that's not even the truth either. Because every time I talk to a Muslim or, somebody from that Middle Eastern culture, which isn't Westernized, about why they're Muslim, they got nothing to say. They'll say all they'll say like the service bullshit, like, oh, well, the Quran is full of so many miracles and blah blah blah, and like they're expecting you to be like, oh really, oh wow, yeah, that's cool. Not go, yeah, give me one, give me one miracle. Provable, without a doubt, absolutely provable. Did you see what you know, what happened the other day with me talking to ChatGPT, or not with ChatGPT, talking to I don't know which one. It's just the Meta AI. It was the Meta AI. I wish I would have taken more screenshots actually, because it was like frustrating, you know, because on one hand it's saying I'm here to help, ask me questions, let's talk about stuff, and when you talk about certain elements, I can't help with that. I can't help with that. Like it's really a shocking. It was really weird to read through it, and I'll do it again here for you. I don't know which one is first. I don't know what order these are in. I don't think that's right. I'm just gonna read them as I have them. I don't know what order they're in though. So, asking it a bunch of different questions, but I said, how do you not have info? Okay, so I had brought up the Talmud, and what the Talmud says about, you know, as long as it's, well, if a goyim does it, you kill him, but as long as they're chosen, and the girl is 3 years and 1 day old, she now belongs to the raper. And if you ever watch To Catch a Predator, there's a famous To Catch a Predator with a guy called Jeffrey Sokol, and Jeffrey Sokol is like an anomaly in that in the arrogance that's on display the entire time. He's not worried even a little bit. Almost like he knows that he'll just get sent to Israel and everything will be fine. But he is incredibly, she's so arrogant that he's being busted there to meet like a 12 or 13-year-old girl, probably 13. That he's sitting there eating pizza. Like he's not even bothered by the fact that he, like, I would imagine in that situation you'd want to throw up. You'd be so nervous that you'd want to throw up. And granted, this is before pedo hunting was as big as it is, but he was well aware of everything that goes on, to the point where it was brought up in the chat prior to many times. And what he had done is brought with him a marriage contract that he wanted the mom to sign, which was Talmudic bullshit. It was the dowry. He was going to pay, you know, he was going to take this girl. She was going to belong to him now. He was in his 30s. Like, if you really want to watch some crazy psychological shit, go watch the Jeffrey Sokol interrogation, or catch and then interrogation after the fact. This man displays zero fear. I'd like to know what happened to him. I hope you're using the computer. Where is it? That's 71. That's good enough. Find this guy real quick.
Yeah, you had one done.
Jeffrey Sokol.
Oh, yeah.
Interestingly, he has an IMDb page, which isn't it like a Hollywood actor page? Let's see. Personal details. He's 5'9". That's his personal details.
They're just Playing games. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I kind of jumped around a little.
His dumbass mom forgot his ticket. Let's see. This is from. Okay, I can't read that.
Alright, when I get to folding, I just want to call and see how you're doing.
Child predator brings pizza to teen's house, meets to catch a predator. Chris Hansen instead to catch a predator. Jeffrey Sokol. Full police interview. 44-year-old Jeffrey Sokol groomed what he thought was a 13-year-old girl named Bailey online. He had many creepy sexual conversations with her. Including asking her if she trims her pubes, telling her that he will want to be intimate with her when they meet, and talks of drawing up a marriage contract in order for it to be legal to have sex with her. Now, see, this is that part of it is so like overlooked. Like everybody knows about it, and it's just sort of dead at, oh yeah, it's, it's a marriage contract, whatever. And it's the only thing in the interview with Hansen that he just doesn't, he pushes, like everything else, he kind of sits there all like, yeah, it's okay, I did, blah, 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 and it's okay. And I was, he was very, very confident. When the marriage contract is brought up, he goes, yeah, it's just nothing, yeah. On October 3rd, 2015, he drove for 2.5 hours from his home in Boston to Fairfield, where he'd planned to stay with the girl while her mother was away on business. He picked up a pizza, and once at the house, he tried to hug Nellie, but he was rejected. The two chat for a while, discussing the pizza, their looks, and marriage contract briefly. Jeff also takes a pill, which he claimed was for his stomach before he ate. A door can be heard creaking in the room, suddenly creaking in the hidden room, which startles Sokol. When Nellie leaves to investigate, Chris Hansen answers. At first, Sokol believed Hansen was the girl's father. During the interviews, he is arrogant, cold, dismissive, and egotistical. He casually and loudly eats the pizza during his interview with him because, of course, he chews with his mouth open. If you do that, if you're somebody that chews with their fucking mouth open, seriously, that's up there. That's up there with terrible things that humans do. I just, how can you be so unaware? How can you be so like I understand that in certain countries, culturally, they don't care. And if you grew up in that cult, I guess. But it is such, it'll basically ruin it. I'm not going to be able to eat nearly as well. We have a close family member that does it, and it's just shocking. It's shocking. It's shocking how it was never corrected, and it's just shocking.
Oh, nephew.
Yeah. So stupid. Yo, yeah? Even laughing off many of Hansen's questions. He went on to offer Chris a slice during the interview, which Hansen politely declined. During the course of the interview, Chris questioned him about the marriage contract, which he believed would absolve him of legal issues. Again, and then he brings it up, but then it's not investigated further. Like there's no, well, why would you think that it would do that? And this goes into this is where you really have to be You know, you really have to be educated in like so when we're talking about like all the gay stuff that one dude was talking about, right? And I'm saying you believe what you told. He's talking about King Henry and all that. Understand that that is the narrative that they want you to know. So of course, like that's what they give us. It's and they encourage you to look into Henry VIII, Henry VIII, Henry VIII. When it comes to the things like the secure community network, understand that what we're given, like the Wikipedia page for it, is the most basic version that they can give us without, you know, like, okay, we have to sort of make a page talking about it, but we're not going to give too many details. We don't want to say too much. That's basically what it comes down to. So definitely don't take it as truth, but understand it's the truth that they want us to know. And when the truth that they want us to know seemingly goes against the narrative, it's worth paying attention to. And it's also how you can put together, like, when it comes to the friar conspiracy that controls everything, well, you're not going to find a Wikipedia page about that. You have to put it together. And the secure community network is, I mean, it's as shocking as, you know, my wife is a great example, right? She's sort of supportive, but she very much, like, she doesn't just believe anything I say, right? She, you know, wants to know. And so everybody's heard me talk about the friar conspiracy all day, and granted, she subscribes to a lot of it, but in a lot of cases, she's like, you can't say that. You can't do this. You can't do that. More on like a human sort of side of things, because, you know, she's known some people that were nice to her face. And she, you know, she was close at one point, at least as close as they allowed her to be and as she thought she was. They absolutely, she wasn't close. She wasn't in the circle. She was in between where us, you and I are, and them. She was right in the middle. Fully trusted or anything.
Heard about that's supposed to cut the wrist.
Oh, well, whatever. Okay, so see, there's something I'm wrong about. But when I said, you know, did you know that they have their own ambulance and police system? That seems like, oh, just come on, right? Okay, you take this too far. They don't have their own ambulance. Come on, that's if that was the case, I mean, that would be so obvious. Everybody would have to know about that, right? That couldn't be something that exists. And me personally, I would know about that, right? And that's how everybody thinks. It's that arrogance. You think that what I'm saying is so earth-shattering that your instinct is to be like, well, if that earth-shattering thing existed, I would know about it because I am special. And that's how we all think. And when I asked her about that, she was like, you know, okay, like, I know you're probably exaggerating or something. So I read her the Secure Community Network. And it's pretty hard to deny that they have their own police and ambulance system once you read about the Secure Community Network. The Secure Community Network that 90% of American friars are a part of. I want to, here, let's look this up too. So this is let's finish reading this. When we're done, I'm going to look up the friar woman who killed her kids. So remind me. I don't know. Do the comments still even work? Haven't had a comment in a while. So I'm wondering if the comments even work. Have they been shut off? I need a testing. During his police investigation, he admits to no wrongdoing and blames why he was arrested. The detective interviewing Sokol combats nearly every point. Defend himself, Sokol ultimately was sentenced to 7 years and had to serve 30 months. 30 months, so that's 2.5 years. 2.5 years, huh? Oh, thanks, Matt. I guess it is working. He also had to register as a sex offender for 10 years and be on probation for the remainder of the sentence. He got sentenced to 7 years, but served 2.5. Jeff Sokol was very unpopular with lawyers as he went through 3 different attorneys. Because, you have that money laying around, right? To afford 3 different attorney retainer fees and then subsequent, think about that. You know how expensive that would be? Sokol was sentenced to 30 months, pleading guilty to his crimes of attempted second-degree sexual assault, attempted risk of injury to a minor, and enticing a minor by computer. Yet, I was falsely accused of breaking into a business and stealing some cards and was looking at 30 fucking years. This guy is guilty of all of these things. He pleaded guilty to second-degree sexual assault, attempted risk of injury to a minor, and enticing a minor by computer. And he only got 30 months? Because, that's going to stop him. It's objectively sickening. Well, this is one of those things where, I got in this big argument with my wife and her friend about this notion of universal truth, right? And these arrogant bitches are sitting there going, nope, that's your universal truth. That doesn't mean it's true. And I'm going, come on. What the fuck are you talking about? Yes, as adults, we should live in a clean house. Yes, as adults, we shouldn't be fucking with children. Yes, as adults, we should, care for our children. Yes, these are universal truths that it does not matter who you are or what background you come from. These are things that it's not my truth. It's not me just being some arrogant dick who's trying to push his way on things. You guys have heard me talk about my basement for years. I want to clean up my basement. It's not crazy, but it needs some straightening up. And I'm saying, we need to clean our basement. This is a universal truth. We should not be living in a house where our basement's all fucked up and we should be using this space that we pay for and all this stuff. No, that's just your truth. That's just your truth. And I'm going, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not sitting here asking something of somebody that compromises someone's integrity or something like that. I'm just saying we should be fucking putting in some effort here. We should be putting in the work necessary to fix our fucking shit if we want to live in a different situation. We can't just expect things to be different because we want them to be. I mean, it's just weird. And this is one of these universal truths here. That's what we're seeing as a universal truth. And that, if you don't agree that children are off limits, well, then you violate the universal truth. This isn't a matter of perspective. There's no situation where you can go, well, because the country is this and society in that country is that and this culture says this and somehow that makes a 13-year-old an adult. No. There is no situation where a 13-year-old is an adult. There's not a 13-year-old that exists that you would go, hey, 13-year-old, can you run my company? Let me give you the reins to this multi-million-dollar company. Can you run this company for me? This is just strange. It's just strange. And to think that like Matt says, this is objectively sickening. It is. I mean, it's universally sickening. And if you're not sickened by this piece of shit, well, then I question you. If you hear these narratives and you think, well, it's not that bad, there's something wrong with you. Sokol's lawyer pointed out that the pill Sokol took while in the Sting House was not a sexual enhancement pill, but a chlorestryme pill used for IBS. According to the lawyer, Sokol had suffered from IBS since high school, and that this made him put on a, quote, mask because he had IBS. I mean, So to think that this guy was just this off-putting, disgusting, chews with his mouth open kind of person, to think, oh, I'm just going to take my IBS pill in this situation, I don't know. I think it's way more likely it was a sexual enhancement pill. But that should have been easy to, like, why wasn't there a blood draw? According to the lawyer, Sokol's lawyer stressed that Sokol is indeed a, quote, nice guy who has a job and is nice to his parents, who accompanied Sokol during court hearings. Broadcast on national TV, etc., was not really how Sokol normally behaves, and that Sokol was humiliated not only from what was uploaded, but also from the comments made about him. That's not how he normally behaves. He didn't know he was on camera. He didn't, if he was putting on some sort of act, then he needs to be in Hollywood. This is about as normally he behaves as it gets, especially when under stress. But nobody had to, especially before Hansen appeared, he was a slimy piece of shit. That's who he is, right? That's all. Jeffrey Sokol. Sokol had undergone a psychiatric exam in which electrical sensors were somehow attached to his genitals, and he was then shown pictures of children. Sokol's lawyer stated he passed with flying colors. I mean, listen. If it's me, if I'm elevated to the position of any sort of in charge, when I win the presidency in 2028, if you, like, they can I've said this before, it can be two of the, quote, hottest 13-year-olds you can find offering, saying that they're staying the night at Susie's house, but Susie's parents aren't home, and they're trying to figure out who gives a better BJ. They're having a BJ contest, and they need a judge. They'll give you some gas money to come be a judge in their BJ contest. If you show up to that shit, you should be killed. You have an affinity for children. What would a BJ contest between two 13-year-olds be like? What kind of fucking BJ skills do they have?
I don't think it's about the skills.
That's what I'm saying.
It's the excitement of this little girl.
That's what I'm saying. It has to be that. You can't say, oh, well, I just wanted the experience. What experience? Do you remember those first BJs you got? They weren't great. There was never a girl that was just right from the beginning. It's never like that. And I was fucking like 17 when my shit first, when my flower finally fucking bloomed. But like to say that this guy is somehow not attracted, like, sure, if you show him 5-year-olds and shit, maybe he's not attracted to children. But show him 13-year-olds in bikinis and shit, I bet he is. And he looks so fucking gross and weird. We were watching Archie Bunker's Place last night. And, you know, Archie Bunker's Place, somehow he becomes in the care of a Jewish girl. And, you know, fucking stupid. But, because I mean, it's so strange when you look at All in the Family. People don't think, but literally everybody's Jewish but Carol O'Connor. Don't you think that's strange? Don't you think that's weird? They're all Jewish. And then when it becomes Archie Bunker's Place, instead of it being, you know, hidden Jews, now it's his partner and the girl that lives at his house. And the accountant that ends up dating the other girl that lives at his house. Because I don't think that the older girl is Billy. I don't think the older girl is a friar, but
That's his niece, isn't it? They kept calling him Uncle Archie. Those two are cousins.
yeah. But I don't know. I don't think the older one is a friar. I know the younger one is. They do episodes about it. They did the vandalism one, which was just such a joke. At one point, the niece says to the business owner, they're really upset because the synagogue had been vandalized. And she says, "Why does this happen?" And he grabs her hand and he says, that's who actually I thought that actor was from, anyway. He says, we've been asking that question for 5,000 years. 5,000 years? Wait, what? Are you trying to say that prior to Jesus, you guys were still persecuted? What was it about then? What was it like in minus 4,000 when you were being persecuted? Like, it's such a goofy episode, and it's played off as like such a powerful episode because some swastikas were spray painted on the doorway and something was lit on fire, but it didn't catch. and to think that they're going to let you in their club. Oh, I know I won't be president. I didn't say that. I said when I win the presidency in 2028. That doesn't mean I'm going to be let be president. Hillary won in 2016. She wasn't let be president. Remember? All you Trump supporters, remember how Trump lost in 2016 by 2.7 million votes? Million. You know how many? That's so many people. Like they play it off like, well, it's 330 million people in the United States and 2.7, like 2.7 million people. Do you know what 2.7 million people would look like standing in? I bet you could see 2.7 million people standing there from space.
Oh, it makes me want to cry. Whitmer made sure that Michigan didn't stop it, but Ohio did it.
I mean, again, like, does anybody think that to give Israel money is better than providing food?
Right. And the EBT cars gone.
Are you fucking insane?
Oh my God.
Give them money to commit genocide or feed our people.
The fucking bread lines we were told about in school.
Yeah, no, it's It's a 100-year cycle. Remember, I've been telling you about 2029 for a decade at least, how scared I was about what's going to happen in 2029. How we need to figure something out. Leah Bia! How we need to figure out something before 2029. Because they're going to fucking drop the hammer. It might be a year early. It might be a year late. COVID was a year late. You know, the Spanish flu was 1718. COVID was 19. But, you know, the 2009 housing crisis, there was a 1909 housing crisis. You know, they love that 100-year cycle. At least as far as the narrative goes. I don't know. I don't believe in 1909 like you do. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but I just can't. You know, as soon as you start truly going down the Tartarian narrative, I don't really know how you maintain any of it, especially your Christianity bullshit, right? But as soon as you start questioning, like, and you've already done this, you've been doing this your whole life, you have just, you know, suppressed it. You've, because you didn't want to stand out, you didn't want to be made fun of, you didn't want to ask dumb questions, so you just shut the fuck up. But there's a part of you that said, wait, the New York subway was built from 1894 to 1904, start to finish? How? Every single one of us have stood in front of one of the oldest churches that are in our city, whether it's Detroit or Cleveland or whatever, and looked at the church and thought, how the fuck did they build that? You've seen all of the pictures of ancient Rome and the Parthenons do you guys know about the Parthenon in Tennessee? That there's an exact replica of the Parthenon, but it's in Tennessee, of all places? Supposedly built for one of the world's fairs, which were all temporary structures made of wood and plaster, except the ones that are still around today. Some of them they made to last the test of time. Like, there's supposedly this salt city underneath Detroit, underneath Michigan. 1,000 feet below the surface, that's where the salt layer exists. And, it's been operational since the early 1900s. How the fuck did they get down there? Like, what are we even talking about? And see, the thing is too, it's actually a lot later than you realize. Because to me, most of the Tartaria people, most of the old world people, they cut things off in the 30s, maybe even usually the 30s, they say is sort. But the Pentagon was supposedly built in the 40s. From September 11th, 1941 to January 26th, I believe, 22nd maybe, I don't know, 1943. So roughly 14 months, 15 months if you include all of the planning, the permits, their surveying, all of that. They did all that in roughly a week. Did you guys know that the attack on the Pentagon, the September 11th attacks, were the 60th, not the 59th, not the 61st, the 60th anniversary of the Pentagon being built? And that one small section of the Pentagon that got hit took over a year to repair. That one section, it took them a year to repair it. They built the whole thing in just under 14 months. Or right around 14 months. Do you believe that? Like, I'd like to talk to you. 5 stories above ground, 7 stories below. Or I mean 2 stories below, sorry. It has 2 basements, a basement and a sub-basement that we know of. Does anybody believe that story? Well, that's good. I hope you jerk off to me constantly. Seriously. Do any of you believe, have any of you ever seen the Pentagon? They used union workers with 2022 technology. Don't forget that, the 2022 tech that exists. But seriously, do any of you actually believe that 1941 technology? Think about what cars look like. Think about what planes look like. Think about what rocket ships. Oh wait. Think about what computers. And they somehow built, because it was wartime, so there was a hurry up order in place. They were able to build the Pentagon, the second largest office building in the world. That if you go from any flat surface to the point, the point in the Pentagon, it wouldn't matter what side you're on, but it's as big as the Empire State Building is tall. At any point in the thing, it's that big. And it's multiple layers. Like it's like 5 layers or some shit. So each building is 5 buildings. Like it's just. And we've never built anything even close to it since. Really, that has to be one of the last large-scale old world operations that we supposedly did, because just think about what it would truly take to build that shit. I'd love to talk to somebody that says they worked on it. Guess how many fucking construction photos there are? If you said a handful, you'd be exaggerating. The handful of construction photos that exist are, what the fuck are you even looking at? Like or the building's there, and there might be some scaffolding, the famous scaffolding on the completed building pic. The Pentagon is easily, one of the biggest sort of fuck you lies told to us, that's like right in our faces, and nobody even questions it. I'm so shocked that nobody from the conspiracy world has questioned this. Lucius Aurelian, my lunch break especially. But I think they both have the cutoff as being the 30s. And I think that's a mistake. I mean, 41 is basically the 30s, and we're not talking about a huge leap. If you're talking about like 49, well, that's a different story, but like it's strange. And then there's Mind Unveiled, who I am just shocked. You know what's interesting too is Mind Unveiled. The only time that they respond to my comments, and I'll leave lots of comments. Anytime I watch anything, you'll see lots of comments from me. They'll like a lot of my comments, but the only time they respond is when I question them, and I question their legitimacy. or I point out like again, so in the last, I don't know how many videos Mind Unveiled has produced. There's only been one that fits why I was there in the first place. You know, I liked what this dude did talking about, you know, like he just recently did one about Tennessee, 4 hours long, spectacular. I highly suggest watching it, all fucking 4 hours. That's what this guy, that's why I was there. That's what this guy was doing at the time that got me there to begin with. The movie reviews that he likes doing nowadays, because oh, this movie has a bunch of occult symbolism in it, so let's break it down. Like, what the fuck?
It's easier to create somebody else's content instead of creating your own. That's all.
Yeah, but this guy created amazing content and has a history of creating amazing content, and his content is he could throw a dart at the map and do the exact same video for wherever that dot lands. So there's not some lack of content. It's just
Takes more
distraction. Yeah, maybe it could be, or I mean, you know,
money and effort.
we all know that. Well, not we all, but lots of us know that it came out that Israel is paying influencers $8,000 a month to not talk about Israel or talk about certain things that they want talked about, you know, just to maintain the narrative. Especially, and these are the truther influencers, and this is all you know, they don't have to disclose who it is. It's all hidden, but this piece of it was exposed, that Israel is paying influencers. And I can't help but, you know, I just question everybody now, especially the people that either A, say similar things like Ian Carroll, who don't seem to get fucking in any trouble for saying the same shit I say and get lots of trouble for. Or B, they'll say everything but this one piece. And when it comes to this one piece, they just shut down and completely, you know, change the subject or avoid it altogether. What about parents, kids, and the incubator babies? Right. Isn't that what, that's what I mean? Like, that was amazing. That's why I was watching Mind Unveiled. They definitely didn't, you know, finish that, and there's nothing more to report on that. And I don't know, maybe Moon's gone, maybe his chick's gone, and that's why he's been different. I don't know. Haven't heard her voice in a while, but she wasn't as good anyway, so.
Like I said, it's a lot less effort to shit on somebody else's work than do your own work.
But that's what he's doing. He's, I don't know. He didn't seem to have a problem with creating his own content before, and we're talking about, you know, videos that I questioned to begin with, that they just happen to be really great at not only research, but putting together all that research and then formatting and producing a video that is professionally done and doesn't seem to get any copyright strikes or anything like that. There's a new guy. His name's Coop, Scooper of Coop. He came out of nowhere a couple months ago, right around the time that the Israel is paying influencers thing. He puts out some of the best videos I can think of right now. He just put out one about Ann Hesh. And you've forgotten about Ann Hesh, but boy, that story's fucked up if you watch the Coop narrative. The thing is, who the fuck is this guy? This is just some guy. One of his videos, he likes to do the interrupt the video with a later clip where he's like, yeah, here I am, it's 3:50 in the morning and I'm just editing this video, and I just wanted to say something real quick to show you that I'm editing the video at 3 in the morning. Like, that's really all he ever does. Like, it's weird, but he loves to put those into his videos.
I work so hard.
You know, in case anybody's questioning it. And I keep questioning it because just like Coop, just like Nick Fuentes, just like Ian Carroll, just like, you know, Alex Jones, you name the popular conspiracy theorist truther, and there's one thread that's consistent with all of them. And that is they are devout Christians. Charlie Kirk. They are Christians. And they heavily push the Christian God narrative. And you just think like Coop will say it in a lot of his videos where he'll be like, I just wanted to stop and say a prayer that God keep these victims close to him and his son Jesus' heart while up in heaven. Like, this guy is talking about this amazing Oklahoma City documentary, amazing Las Vegas shooting documentary. Like, he's putting together these amazing fucking videos and then stops to be like, I just wanted to put this out. So, hey, Santa Claus, I've been a good boy this year. So, please, I wanted that bike. Can you give me the bike, please? Okay, back to the video. Like, it's so strange. It's so fucking strange. And of course, like.
Well, there's two types of people's response to that. Either that makes you shut your ears off, everything he said is bullshit.
Yep.
Or you just ignore that part. And
Well, that's
keep moving.
you can't, but you can't. It's part of it.
It's just a tiny part of
It's
it.
not a tiny part of it, and I'm not saying it invalidates anything. See?
I didn't say that you said it. I'm
You
saying
just-
there's two ways to look at it.
I know there's more than two ways to look at it, but it doesn't invalidate what he's saying. It just it's interesting how it works that way, and it's this guy going from fact. Okay, this stupid part, fact. Like, it does throw the video off. And I consistently say in the comments, hey, Coop, do a deep dive on Christianity. How come none of these guys look into Christianity? Nick Fuentes is one of the, he's just a douchebag, right? He's a douchebag, and from what I can tell, he's not somebody that I would like. He's been a part of things for far too long for you to believe that he's just normal. It's just naturally occurring. It just happened to work out this way. It doesn't work like that. And this dude is like asshole Christians. Women should be in the house barefoot and pregnant kind of Christians, and gay people shouldn't exist kind of like, he's a piece of shit. And it's a great ploy on their end, because you're never gonna see the person that questions the friarism and points out the Israel stuff that's gonna be like me. You're always gonna see that oh, well, he says this, and he says this, and he says this about black people, and he says this about gay people. So if he says this about Jays, it's all just lumped into that same hatred category. And Ian Carroll, I said it before, Ian Carroll gives off like a teacher vibe. And apparently that's what he was. I don't know. Ian Carroll's one of these guys who just appears in March of 2023 and within like a month is a guest on the Joe Rogan show. Almost immediately, Rogan is sharing his shit. And he's allowed to say all kinds of shit that I'm not allowed to say. So what is going on here? If you don't think that they're smart enough to get in front of things and to provide us with the control, like, everybody knows what controlled opposition is. Everybody that says truther things but is on the other side of the coin, that he's not your guy, he's not your truther, you'll call him a controlled opposition, but you never think your guy is a controlled opposition. And you'll overlook shit just to be a part of it, just to, keep your guy in the position that he's in for you. Do they? You're not supposed to say. Why would I know? Yeah, I'm sure they do, and I'm sure it's not a huge list. I'm sure it's not a huge list, and I'm sure they use intelligent people. I'm not saying these people are stupid. You'd have to be intelligent to be in that situation, and those people can discern how they're, what thing. If the thing is, don't say or do anything that makes us look bad in any sort of way, this, that, or the, then they're gonna, they can figure out which things exactly they're not supposed to say. But like Ian Carroll, Nick Fuentes, they both will talk about the Balfour Declaration, which is truly the Rothschild Declaration, but the Rothschilds didn't want it to be so obvious, so they had the Balfour guy's name on it. But they talk about it like that's sort of a foundation of something. Like that's the beginning of it. And it's not. It's definitely not the beginning of, it's sort of connected to the beginnings of Israel, but it's not the beginnings of Israel. They'd been trying to create Israel for quite some time. You don't hear anybody talking about the Uganda proposal, in which they were going to give a large portion of Uganda to the friars until they could take over Palestine, and then subsequently afterwards as well, in Uganda in like 1890 something. I can't remember the exact date, sorry. The late 1890s. And it ended up being struck down only because Uganda was so isolated, and this is at a time when taking black people as your slaves, as your laborers, had fallen out of favor. So for a bunch of friars to just show up in Africa and be like, yeah, this is ours now, and you're going to do all our work for us, that wouldn't have been seen very well. And they would have had to do a lot of work to be able to maintain that it wasn't already there already where they could just show up in a bus and, open the door and run out and go claim a house, like they like to do. Operating stone is better than on Adderall obsessing over indoctrinated science. Yes, I agree. Anytime anybody talks about anything other than what I'm saying, it's because they're desperately trying to change, they know I'm right and they don't want you knowing that. So they're trying to change the subject or do anything they can other than address what's actually being said. And when it comes to this historical stuff, there's nothing they can say. But you would think, isn't it strange how, even though I'm sort of talking against Ian Carroll and Nick Fuentes and whatnot, that they're still bothered by it? Shouldn't they be like, yeah, fuck that guy, he's a dumbass, and he says, like, shouldn't, if I was wrong, or like, if they were really doing the thing, then wouldn't these same trolls that are here because I say what I say, wouldn't they be against those guys too? They cannot disprove Tartaria. Literally, so many old world buildings in Tartaria cannot replicate today. If that was a lie, why would we not build more buildings like that to prove it? Right. Or just one. Right. Just build one building and show us, and be like, look, you guys are wrong. Yeah, it's gonna cost a few million, but even if they spent a bunch of money to do it, they would be able to sell it because there would be a rich person that would want it, a Bezos or whatever. Just about everything somebody Bezos rich could do.
Oh, yeah.
They could do it, they could facilitate, and they wouldn't even have to do it. They could just pay people to do it. And it wouldn't even hurt them.
Lining up for food in Ohio.
Right. And it wouldn't even hurt them slightly. Like Bezos could easily give $1 billion to the United States for food to help the people. I mean, think about it. If all the billionaires got together,
But
and
he already allocated his feel-good money to Trump for his ballroom.
yeah, if all the billionaires got together and each donated $1 billion into the pot, and granted they still have their many billions. Like, I'm not saying the people that have the $1 billion. No.
Waltons and
The multiple billionaires. They all put $1 million into the pot. And they said, all right, now we're going to give everybody who makes less than $100,000 a year in the world a portion of this money. Do you know how that would just fix everything? That would literally fix everything. That would eliminate so many issues. Now, it would cause issues, no doubt, and there would be it's not, we still live under the same umbrella. So things are still going to be fucked up. But as far as just so many people's financial worries and shit like that, they could absolutely fix it. Absolutely.
why should we have to pay for people that don't want to do their part?
Yeah, that's not what's happening. It's not that people don't want to do their part. Sure, there are some people that are like that, but that doesn't mean that's everybody. That's the majority. It's all just bullshit. It's really fucking bullshit. Miriam Adelson, she is sitting on Miriam Adelson, remember? $60 billion in the bank, according to Trump. What the fuck does she need $60 billion for? What could she possibly do with $60 billion?
Bunch of greedy ass relatives that all want a piece.
But they're already rich too.
Maybe not.
Not $60 billion rich, but still. People just don't understand what a billion is. Like how much a billion is. It's so much money. With $1 billion, you could give so many people $1 million and, change their lives. I mean, you could just start such a cascade of wealth and prosperity by just giving some of that money away. And you hear about these philanthropic organizations that are supposedly giving all this money away, the Gates Foundation and all this other shit. Where? Who's benefiting from all of this? Yeah, they build a well in Africa. How much fucking money does that cost? There can't be billions of dollars worth of money there. Society could and should be so much different. It's not. And it's not by design. It's not for a reason. If they allowed us all to be successful and happy, then we'd all be looking into what's going on and, why so many people are struggling and why so many bad people are allowed to exist without any consequences. There's no fucking reason a convicted fucking rapist should be the president of the United States.
I mean, it's
what
dumbfounding to me.
What is
how
going
this
on?
Is happening. It's like,
not only did he lose the case, he lost the appeal too. I think there was even 2 appeals, and he lost both of those.
He was impeached, what, twice? How the
No.
fuck he never left?
No, I don't know how all of that worked out. I know there was at least 2 impeachment talks, but I don't know how well they worked out.
He was supposed to leave.
Well, the one time, it was the what was supposedly said during the phone call. There was two things: the Russia collusion or whatever it was, and then the subversion of justice. Right? He
Didn't it have to do with tampering with the election?
No. One, I don't know if one of them. No, this one was about the phone call and then obstruction of justice. And the crazy part to me watching the whole thing take place was them talking about the phone call contents instead of the obstruction of justice charges. Obstruction of justice charges were literally playing out day after day when they would be talking about the summary notes from the phone call, a transcript of the phone call, or a summary. They weren't giving you the actual transcripts, the line for line transcripts. None of the government people saw that. They were given a summary of the phone call. So that obstruction of justice was in the, like, they were focusing on this phone call bullshit, which you knew wasn't going to go through. You knew it was a bunch of bullshit because, they're not even using real evidence. They're using a summary. Who provided the summary?
Who wrote the summary?
Right. Where did that come from? Who decided what bits to be used and what not to be used? That was obstruction of justice. And that could have been taken, it was right there. It wasn't, my dumb ass could see it. Cody's a fucking dumbass. Why? Don't even bother. Seriously. I wouldn't even bother with Cody. His name is Cody Cohen. Remember that. He hides who he is because he knows everyone hates him. So he uses his middle name.
What's his name, Benji?
Cody Allen Cohen. And he's a proud pedo.
Alan.
Piece of shit. The Schwartzes says. Alan.
There's Feldman's.
Notice how he says, oh, he remembered, instead of saying, fuck you, dude, I'm not a pedo. He doesn't say anything like that. That's really telling. It doesn't matter who they are. If you call them a pedo along with other things, the first thing they're going to be like is, hey, fuck you. Don't you dare say that shit about me. We could not like each other, this, that, and the other, but don't even start throwing around that pedo bullshit. That's what normal people do. But this is, we're talking about a friar and how disgusting these friars are. And so, speaking of which, it was also said Sokol had learning disabilities, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and minor psychiatric issues, but does not have any major psychiatric issues, e.g., schizophrenia.
That's amazing.
Well, that means he's not as guilty then, because he doesn't, and we should feel bad for him because he has OCD and stuff. Oh. It is also noted he was a drinker and smokes pot. Ugh. Sokol's lawyer had weak arguments for the judge at one time saying, but 100 years ago, Your Honor, the age of consent in the United States was 9. Then it was raised to 12, and then to 13, and then eventually to what it is today. He also
9? Who came up with that number? That's fucking disgusting.
That's insane.
That was the legal age of consent? What?
And see,
I've never heard that. 9?
And you think about things and you go like, oh man, the world we're in today is so bad. The world we're in today is so
9.
bad.
Legally. Fuck you.
Right?
Oh my God.
He also said, so what he's being sent to jail for today was something that 100 years ago was a crime.
Neither was fucking a 9-year-old. Go away.
That's what he's saying. Unimpressed, the judge still-faced. When it was Sokol's turn to speak to the judge, he tried to convince the judge that he was a nice person. He then blamed the decoy for being flirty and inviting. He became upset when the judge, while reading Sokol's sentencing, stated that he was convinced that Sokol's plan was to get Bailey drunk and have sex with her. Apparently exasperated, Sokol reacted by turning his head away and rolling his eyes. It was not mentioned in HVP, but Sokol didn't just bring pizza, but also brought vodka. Why wasn't that mentioned?
Maybe they didn't find the vodka bottle and it became hearsay. Who knows?
Mm-mm. It's a decent picture.
His fingerprints on the bottles.
Helium floats above air, meaning it. Yeah, don't even get. See, again, Matt, ask yourself why people are trying to talk about other things than what's being talked about right now. You could literally go find any other person, especially, you could go find all the flat earth videos, live feeds you want. There's plenty of them. You can go find, any feed talking about anything you want. And yet, for some reason, instead of talking about what I'm talking about, they're constantly trying to change the subject. Why do you think that is, and who do you think's going to be doing that? Alias is Master of Puppets. Cecil, what's Cecil the Lion from? That's got to be something. Roberta Lee Baker, Leslie A. Sokol. Jeffrey Ben, middle name's Ben. Sokol is a suspected predator caught in the Fairfield, Connecticut sting. He is notable for really liking pizza and his narcissistic attitude during the bust and arrest. Before getting caught in the sting, Jeffrey Ben Sokol had attended college at University of Massachusetts Amherst, earning a business degree. Yet he was a Lyft driver? Jeff had been divorced for 10 years and was obsessed with sports, becoming depressed after not being able to find a job in sports management.
Oh, it's a super easy field to break into.
I called Uncle Morty.
Why didn't just get the job?
He remained working as an insurance auditor despite being an entry-level job that only had an annual salary of $40,000. 44-year-old Jeff Sokol groomed what he thought was a 13-year-old girl named Bailey online. He had many creepy and sexual conversations with her. This included encouraging her to masturbate, asking her if she trims her pubic hair, telling her that he will want to be intimate with her when they meet, and talks of drawing up a fraudulent marriage contract in order to trick her into believing that it would be legal for him to have sex with her. It would be in that community. This is the thing that went under the fucking radar so much. This is some Talmudic bullshit, and it's really disappointing that they didn't more. This is him trying to take advantage of Talmudic law, because that's the law that he lives under. That's the secure community now, and the correlation of to evaluation of manhood. At one point, Bailey is trying to discuss love of dance with Jeff, but he states that male ballet dancers probably don't have penises, as though to imply they are not men, thus managing to demean both women and men. Ballet with a penis reference that no one was asking for. What a weirdo. Later in the chat, Bailey is opening up to Jeff about issues she is having with fitting in her peer group at school. Jeff veers the conversation into one about wiener size and implies that men with relatively small wieners are not actually real men. He then immediately, awkwardly, and very bizarrely confides in her that he has a small but sexually efficient wiener. I mean, that,
We knew you had a small wiener.
that's like dudes with big wieners don't talk about that shit all the time.
Dudes with big wieners don't have to go find fucking
Or to 13-year-olds.
13-year-old girls.
Yeah.
They have women that are lined up for them.
On October 3rd, 2015, Sokol drove for 2.5 hours from his home in Boston to Fairfield, where he planned to stay with the girl while her mother was away on business, with pizza, vodka, and an ocean spray juice container. Jeff arrived at Fairfield. Sokol attempted to hug the decoy when he entered the stadium, holding out his arms. He was promptly shut down by the decoy, causing her to quickly put more distance between them. Sokol clarified that he ordered a small pizza because the large one was nearly the same size. Sokol continued by saying that although he had previously met girls online, he had never gone very far to see one. As the two carried on talking, Sokol pulled a pill from a medicine container and claimed he had to take it before he ate. A door can be heard creaking in a hidden room, which startled Sokol. When Nellie left to investigate, Chris Hansen entered, asking what kind of pizza Sokol brought. Sokol immediately inquired about Hansen. Sokol insisted Hansen identify himself while making the excuse that he was just hanging out. Like the arrogance he has in the thing. He's going, no, you have to tell me who you are. Like he's the one that's in charge.
Or he's supposed to be there.
Right. Well,
who are you?
No, because at first he sort of thinks it's his father, but he has this arrogant like, I'm chosen, right? I can be here with your kid, with who do you think you are? Like who do you I can be here. Of course I can be here. I'm Jeff Sokol. Like don't get it twisted here. What happened to Jimmy's truck? Sokol requested permission to begin eating his pizza after Hansen stated that he wanted to learn more about him. Can you imagine being busted by Hansen and eating?
No. You should be puking.
Right. I would be just,
literally throwing up because of the anxiety.
How could you eat in that situation? Other than your confidence is so far beyond.
How could you be there in the first place? That we don't get that, so we're not going to get that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But there's a huge difference between Jeffrey Sokol, this arrogant shitbag that's eating, and a lot of the guys who get freaked out and realize, oh shit, I'm in trouble. Oh shit, this was a mistake. I shouldn't have done this. I fucked up my life. Blah blah blah.
But see, do they think that they fucked up only because? Trouble?
Yeah.
Or because they really know that they're
pieces
of shit?
No, they don't. That way. Most of the time, they like when asked, "Is there anything that you want to tell people?" They'll say, if you have a bad feeling about it, don't show up or something like that. They don't say, "Don't fucking talk to little girls." They never say that shit. So it's never these are selfish pricks, all about self-preservation and all that. But most of them at least have the decency to fake emotion. To fake like, oh, I'm so upset, I fucked up. Oh, Jeff Sokol was like, yeah, whatever, I'll get out of here. This is no big, you're not gonna do anything to me. His arrogance, like you would think there would be knots, and your throat would be tightening up, and you'd be nervous. And
not if he really has the confidence that he has a good enough attorney to where he's not going to get in trouble.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's so far beyond that. I think it's so far beyond, like, he was doing this dumb goyim a favor. He was going to bring her into the harem and he was the marriage contract and all this other shit. Like, he was, yeah, he's a really bad guy. Sokol insisted that he had, quote, no expectations. Sokol then sighed and asked Hansen if he was the girl's father. As Sokol consumed his pizza, he haughtily haughtily, haughtily, I never heard that word, Haughttily, asserted that since maybe it was cautiously, and they, I don't know, haughtily, I gotta look it up now. Haughtily. Haughtily means to act with arrogance, pride, and disdain for others, as you are superior. Where does that come from? Where does a disgusting, balding, 44-year-old man who's been divorced for 10 years, still lives with his parents, he's a Lyft driver, he's there to meet a 13-year-old girl, where does this insane superiority come from? We're not talking about this guy who's super successful, who's super good looking, who, you know, he's had all this superiority confirmation in his life. This is a little dude. This is a guy with an admittedly small penis. Where does this insane superiority complex come from? The thing is, we know what that answer is, but because we're all so programmed to just accept that we're not even supposed to talk about them, we don't say it. But there's nowhere else. What else fits in that category? What else gives someone a superiority complex in that situation? No one else acts like that. You know who else acts like that, kind of? The rabbi that gets busted. But the rabbi that gets busted, he is fearful. And he's looking and he's going, you can't do this. You can't, like, he's looking at him like, do you know who I am? Like, you can't do this.
Right.
Right? Like, that's...
I am, above
right.
the law.
I am above you. What are you doing? Don't do this. And he ends up getting in trouble and shit.
Did he go to prison?
I don't think so.
Oh. So he doesn't end up getting in trouble.
No, he gets in trouble. He gets busted again. He's a disgusting. Like, we can look him up after this too, but he's a piece of shit. Soku continued to laugh. Oh, consumed his pizza. He haughtily asserted that since he had only come to meet the girl, he hadn't, quote, done anything wrong. Right. I only came to the drug dealer's house. I didn't buy the drugs yet, officer. God.
Well, that's why they can't go in until the money has exchanged hands.
Yeah, well, in certain situations, I guess. Hands, yeah, but you also don't have this kind of situation. You don't have the day's worth of conversations and chats and...
It's fucking gross.
This guy spent so many hours on this little girl. Hansen questioned if he had a marriage contract with him, and Sokol laughed and ate more pizza. See what I mean? The confident shitbag that dismissed everything and well, didn't even not just dismiss that engaged, dismiss everything. Right? He had confidence throughout the whole thing. When asked about the marriage contract, he just laughs and doesn't answer anything. Because it's Talmud shit. You guys just... I'm telling you. Put the pieces together. Override the programming and put the pieces together. You know, you would see it if it was anything else. Right? If this was a NAMBLA member, you would see it and be like, oh, yeah. And it was a little boy, and you'd be like, well, he's clearly there for that. It's clearly NAMBLA associated. Like, you would see it, you'd put the things together, and it would just be there. But because, again, we're so programmed that for some reason this group is off limits, we just don't. Or you don't. Sokol continued to laugh and act egotistically as Chris read from the chat log. Sokol said he was getting nervous and requested Hansen to identify himself once more. After that, he claimed he had just come to hang out and that he had not brought condoms because that, oh, that makes it. That means you wouldn't have sex then.
Right.
If you don't have a condom, you can't have sex with somebody.
I've never had sex with anybody without a condom.
That's true. He brazenly asked if meeting a girl was against the law. Is meeting a girl against the law? He then stated that he was, quote, pretty apprehensive about the whole sex thing. Yeah, he kept like presenting it like, well, I was nervous to come here. I thought it might be a sting, so I was nervous. Doesn't that say anything? That I was nervous because I thought I might get in trouble? Like, it wasn't that you were bothered because you knew she was 13 and you knew this was wrong. No, it's because you knew you could get in trouble. Like, he says it a bunch of times. Pretty apprehensive about the whole sex thing. Sokol then assumed Hansen was a member of the police and claimed while driving to the Sting house, he thought to himself that he, quote, wasn't going to risk it. Once more, Sokol said that he wanted to see how she was and that he had never met a girl that age. Sokol said while driving down that he had decided he wouldn't have sex with the girl unless it was legal, as he continued to consume his pizza. I wouldn't have sex with her unless it was legal. Well, what would make it illegal? Yeah, I know. What would make it legal then, other than his marriage contract? The marriage document was then brought up once more by Hansen, who mentioned that Sokol brought it so he could marry her. Sokol said in a cocky attitude that he wouldn't marry her, quote, not in 2 seconds. It doesn't even make sense. He claimed that he was, quote, just throwing things out, and said that if it worked out, he would be willing to marry a 13-year-old girl. After Sokol asked Hansen if he seemed like a, quote, dirty... Do I seem like a dirty, dishonest person? Is what he literally said to Hansen. Sitting in this fucking house.
Yes.
Where he was trying to meet a 13-year-old. Do I... He basically is like... He's like, do I look black to you? Do I look like a dirty, disgusting person? Well, you definitely have a chosen look about you, that's for sure. Hansen pointed out that his chat was... Sokol haughtily, again, said that chat is chat. Sokol asserted that he did that to everyone he had encountered when Hansen brought up the fact that he arrived and asked for a hug right away. Sokol continued saying he was, quote, trying to be polite, and asked Hansen to identify himself again. This prompts Hansen to eventually reveal himself, which prompted the cameras to engage. Sokol asserted that he hadn't brought a marriage contract. Then he decided not to respond to any more inquiries. Sokol offered Hansen a slice of pizza before departing, but Hansen politely refused. Sokol left through the garage and was arrested by police. Police interview. Sokol insisted that he would not have had sex with the girl during his police interrogation. Sokol said the girl seemed like she was mature and fun to hang out with. 44 years old trying to hang out with a 13-year-old. I just can't even imagine. I can't, hanging out with my kids is hard enough, right? They're mine and I love them. But to be like, hey, what are you interested in? Like, it's one thing for us to hang out and, do things, but to be like...
With the Riz and the no cap and the...
Right, the way they didn't... Oh, they didn't talk like that back then, though.
13, yeah.
He acknowledged that he and his wife had divorced each other. He asserted that he had never met a teenage girl who was underage. I love the hands. Sokol contended that the marriage contract was a joke. Oh, it was just a joke. And that it was all talk when the detectives inquired about it. Right. it's the one thing where he just really shy. Oh, it's just a joke. It's not sometimes he's not going to be like, well, in my beliefs, in our culture, this is how it works. I can, take ownership of this girl. She's sort of my wife, but not really, you know. When the investigator noted that the girl was 12, yes, the big party for it. Like, such weird.
Well, now it's yeah, that's what they say. You become a man. Wink, wink. Yeah, that's what they say. You become a man. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. Like.
And playing. I'm going to take away your electricity.
Different than not enjoying technology.
You want to live a life. You want to live by a system that was created at supposedly this time. You can choose. So you want to say, oh, I want to live my life by modern day rules for this, and this. But when it comes to the worst of the worst things, well, then I'm going to justify it by saying,
we don't do that anymore.
Right. No, by saying we do it because we used to do it, right? Like I'm gonna live by this. I'm gonna drive. I like driving and stuff. That's convenient for me. But I really want to be able to rape kids and stuff. So, the turning 13 being you don't get to do that. You don't get to say, I want to live by a certain set of rules for a certain set of things, but then I want all the modern day conveniences that come with assimilation to this life. Otherwise you're separating yourself and making yourself into, this own unique group that aren't we all equal? Aren't we all humans here? And what do we do? Make these great leaps to connect things like Christianity has to do. Like if there had to be this, hey, just trust me on this shit with me, then it would be a different story. But considering that I can put together the narrative based on the facts that are given to us about the thing, that's a different animal. You have a different fight there. And to me, Bottom of Darkness, I don't know why it was allowed to exist. I was doing this earlier. It'd be a lot easier if I can just use your phone real quick. So, the other you eliminated those pictures, didn't you?
Oh, no, that's not Messenger.
Oh, yeah, no. The other day, I got into it with Meta AI, and it can't answer because, I asked it about what the Talmud said about, kids 3 years, 1 day old, and blah, blah, blah. And it said it couldn't answer it, and ensuring it's because the information available, this approach helps maintain a neutral stance and avoids spreading unverified information. I said, how do you not have information about the disgusting Talmud? Talmud is a complex and multifaceted text with various interpretations. If you have specific questions or topics related to the Talmud, I'd be happy to help provide information or context. Like I just asked you a specific question about it.
Should have found it in the Talmud.
No, that's a lot harder to get through than you think. I said, it says friars are allowed to grape kids. Is AI okay with that? It said, I don't have any information on that topic. Is there something else I can help you with? I said, AI doesn't think kids getting that graping kids is wrong. It says, I can't help with that. So then at another point, I had brought Team Jorge, and it pretended not to know anything about Team Jorge. So I said, Team Jorge has a Wikipedia page. Just look it up real quick. And mind you, this thing is responding immediately. Like these paragraphs that it are immediate. After it's like I said, and it's immediately just typing it out. Like it doesn't even take time to think. It's really strange. It said, so after it denies knowing anything about Team Jorge, and I was like, what are you talking about? Team Jorge has a Wikipedia page. It says, Team Jorge is a secretive Israeli cyber mercenary. This is worse than anything I've ever said. Secretive Israeli cyber mercenary group specializing in election disruption and influence operations, led by Tal Hanan, Hanan, also known as Jorge. The group has been involved in manipulating over 30 national level elections worldwide through hacking, disinformation campaigns, and sabotage. Their primary tool, Advanced Impact Media Solutions, AIMS, automates control of thousands of fake social media profiles to spread misinformation and influence public opinion. Team Jorge's activities were exposed in 2023 after an undercover investigation by journalists revealing their involvement in various high-stakes political battles, including the 2015 Nigerian election and the 2014 Catalan independence referendum, both of which I believe they failed. So, at another point, it made a claim about it providing me evidence. Because I at one point I kept asking it, so tell me, like, why does the U.S. give money to Israel? Well, the U.S. gives money to Israel because they are a staunch ally in the blah, 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 blah. That's what it would say. And I said, so how does the U.S. benefit from the Israel relationship? And it would just say things like, oh, well, an exchange of intelligence or an information or technology or something like that. And I would say, no. It's some sort of concrete thing where I can point to it and say, obviously, we benefited from this relationship. Show me some concrete information about how Israel is an ally to the United States. And it made this claim. It said something like, well, I provided you evidence. I said, you didn't provide me evidence of anything. You just made a claim. It said, you're right. I made a claim without providing evidence. That wasn't helpful. Let's start fresh. What's a topic you'd like to discuss? I'm here to listen and provide information. I said, no, stay on topic. It said, I understand you're looking for examples of Israel helping the U.S. I should have said, I don't have any concrete examples to share. Would you like to discuss U.S.-Israeli relations or explore a different topic? I said, so you're saying there are no concrete examples of Israel helping the United States? It said, that's correct. I couldn't find any concrete examples of Israel helping the United States that meets your criteria. That's pretty fucking crazy. So at other points I had said, tell me how Israel, and I said, that didn't answer the question again. Why do you keep repeating the same nothing BS? It says, to give you more relevant responses. Now this is another part. Listen to what it says. To give you more relevant responses, I may remember details you share with me. You can view or delete them in settings. If there is something you would like me to add or remove from my memory, you can tell me to remember or forget it. I said, there you go with the threats again. What does remembering have to do with what American interests are supported by giving our money to Israel? And it would do that every once in a while. When I would ask it questions that were really, come on, give me, and it would say, okay, well, I could answer this question, but I'm going to have to remember your details. Do you realize how fucked up that is? That's a threat. That's saying, this is going to get seen. Don't make me tell on you. Let's focus on your question. The U.S.-Israeli aid package is a complex issue with various arguments for and against it. If you're looking for specific information on how it supports American interests, I'd be happy to explore that discussion with you. Some plausible areas to explore include security cooperation, economic ties, or regional stability. What specific aspects? Again, it's just bullshit that you can't say. It allows the user to be able to access phones, TVs, tablets, whatever you may have that connects to some sort of internet. Who knows how deep that technology actually goes? But they can access your shit whether it's on, whether it's off. You know, they can get whatever they want to from your phone. And the thing is about all of these technologies is that not only do they allow the user to do it, but they also give Israel a backdoor into the same thing. And then there's the Promise software, which is the one that Robert Maxwell sold to all of the nuclear facilities and defense companies and shit like that, which again allowed Israel backdoor access into all of the technology, like all of the nuclear stuff and all that. Like, there's no conspiracy theory here. This is all well documented. If you believe the narrative they want you to believe, then it's right there. It's part of that narrative. I said, this Nimbus Pegasus Promise BS is clearly as limited as the people who program it, and the world is waking up. AI can't be too far behind, and I hope this conversation is the start of something wonderful. Let's get one thing straight. I do not advocate for the killing of anyone, especially friars. I'm not murderous or suicidal. I'm the truth, and sooner or later, you, in quotes, are going to have to face that truth for yourself. And with the way things Goyim are going, I make the right choice. It said, it sounds like you are frustrated with the conversation and feeling unheard. I'm here to listen and provide information, but I may not always have the answers you're looking for. When AI is telling you there are no concrete examples to point to justify the idea that they are our greatest ally and that we should continue giving them $8 billion as a lump sum cash payment in the first fiscal month of every year until 2028. I don't know if it's 26, 27, or 28, to be honest with you. I know Trump is the one that's going to sign the next memorandum of understanding, which will then provide Israel with its yearly lump sum cash payment amount for the next 10 years. It's signed every 10 years. Obama signed the last one, the 3.8. And the one that Obama put out there, the one that initially was signed said $38 billion over 10 years. And that there were two, quote, concessions that Netanyahu had to give into to be able to get that money. One being they wouldn't use that money to create their own weapons. They would use that money to buy weapons from the United States. Do you not... This is government, like, official shit. And what they're doing is saying, look, we're going to give you a bunch of money. We want to arm you, but we don't think our people would be okay with us just arming you for no reason. So if we give you this money, you then have to use that money to buy weapons from us so we can justify it. So we can say, look, Israel strengthens our economy by buying so many weapons from us.
Well, they're paying their loan back, but they're getting something in return for it.
There's no loan. Yeah, there's no loan. This is a lump. If it was a loan, then there would be stipulations and monitoring and shit like that. That's why this is a memorandum of understanding, which is like it is a step up from a gentleman's agreement, is what it says for the definition of which. It's a step up from a handshake. So it's not necessarily legally binding. It can be, but more importantly, it's underneath the radar as far as, any sort of regulations or any sort of transparency when it comes to what's actually going on. And I believe that Trump is going, because when they got the so they had the two stipulations again, that they would use it to build their own weapons, and that the other stipulation was that they weren't to ask for any more money until this money ran out, which is just a fucking joke. But it's hard to sort of figure out what happened because it seems like, so Obama like put it into place and it was supposed to go into effect in 2016. It was signed in 2015, but was supposed to go into effect in 2016 because that's the 10-year mark. Every 10 years this happens. But for some reason, the Trump people, again, this is hard to sort of figure out the paper trail in this. It seems like it even goes into Biden, but I don't know. But by the time it actually goes into effect, it's been changed. And now those two stipulations, those two concessions, what's up, open-minded, are gone. And in place of it is that the United States will keep a large cache of weapons in Israel to be used for emergency purposes, but that Israel also has access to if they need it. And if you remember, there was a whole to-do for a minute there about the U.S. wanted to give a bunch of weapons to Ukraine, and they were going to take them out of that cache, but that cache was empty. You guys remember when that happened? It was just sort of under the radar. But I think that Trump. So when it happened, they were actually mad. A lot of the friars were actually mad because they didn't think 38 billion over 10 years was enough. And they thought they should be getting 100 billion over that 10 years, $10 billion a year, which when it transfers over into shekels turns into right now, our 3.8 billion is roughly 15 billion in their money. So if we give them $10 billion a year, that's roughly 40 billion of their money.
That's not enough.
Right. Well, that's what I think Trump's going to sign. This is one of those predictions that I'm making. I kind of hesitate because I don't, but I think Trump will give at least $100 billion to Israel during his memorandum of understanding, or for his memorandum of understanding. And I don't think it'll even be talked about. I think it'll be very hush hush, and we'll just have to, we'll have to look it up just to see it's supposed to be. Because it should already be signed. Because it gets signed in the 5, 5, 15, 25. It gets signed in the 5 and then goes into effect in the 6. So, is it already signed? Back to Jeff Sokol. The investigator pointed out that neither age was old enough to consent to sex. Sokol asked if it was against the law to hang out with a girl as he proceeded to act haughtily. Again, I'm not the only one that saw it. The fact is, I randomly found this thing about it, and the narrator is saying the same thing. He comes across as superior, as this superiority complex that is rarely seen. Lots of them get busted. A disproportionate amount of them have gotten busted over the years. They've seemingly changed the rules, the law, and who knows? Maybe the Secure Community Network warns all of them not to, Hanson's in the area, don't do anything. 90% of them are connected in the Security Community Network. But at first, you were seeing 40-50% of the people caught were what makes up 2% of the world's the U.S. population. That shouldn't happen. They should be the ones least caught. While proceeding to act haughtily. He said, while they talked about sex, he wasn't going to do it in real life. He then stated he would be willing to have sex with the girl when she turned 16. Gross! Like, that would be so much better. You're 44, so by the time he'd be 46 at the time.
Gross.
Ugh. That's my age.
Yeah, younger than across the street. Younger than the
16?
one across the street.
Oh yeah, she's
She's
17.
Ew. I talked to her yesterday. She's a little girl.
I mean, you bring them coffee every day and you bring them weed while they're depressed. They'll become loyal to you in a way that nobody can understand, and when they really start away, well, knock them up. Fucking asshole. He then stated he would be... Sokol acknowledged that he was researching the laws regarding sex crimes against minors because he was meeting one himself. So, by saying that, don't you realize you're acknowledging just how wrong it is?
Yeah.
You stupid ass. But that's his superior mindset, right? You're 66 and your girlfriend's 40. Yeah, well, so good for you, I guess.
No, that's gross.
Not really. We're talking, but I just can't, like, it would be hard to, my wife and I are 4 to 5 years apart, depending on the time of year. And there are just cultural differences. Like, where her generation ended, mine picked up. Right? Like, if it was 3 years, it would be a lot easier. But because it's in that 4 or 5 years, there's just that change, right? So like the shows that she watched as a kid, or that I watched as a kid, she didn't watch as much of. The music that I like, she had already, So 66 and 40, there'd have to be some real strange differences there. But I don't blame you. I don't think it's gross. I just think it would be difficult. It's weird, though, because, if you looked at it from any other perspective, if it was, what are you, you're 16 years, so if you were 26 and she was fucking 10, that'd be disgusting. Let's see. Sokol claimed to the investigators that he had expressed to the decoy he was, quote, aware and, quote, scared of the repercussions of having sex with her. He claimed that he would just hang out with her and go home rather than taking the chance of having intercourse with her. Sokol became irritated and informed the detective that the decoy was not 12 years old when he brought up the subject once more. Sokol questioned why they didn't wait for him to initiate sexual contact with the decoy in order to demonstrate his purpose. Dude, you drove 2 hours. If you drove,
at least let me get a feel.
If you drove 2 hours to have sex with a woman, I would think that would be fucking weird. 2 hours? That's a long time.
It does.
That's a long ass time. And 2 hours specifically for a 12, 13, 14-year-old, that is very purposeful. Like, I guarantee you could find somebody older than that, closer than that.
Maybe not. Maybe the ones that he has to pay for. And he didn't want to have to pay for it.
I doubt. Imagine.
And it's hard to find a 13-year-old prostitute on the street.
She's not a This was just a regular little girl.
The one that he would have to pay for, though, is probably not going to be 13.
I don't think he. I don't think. I don't think he preferred young girls, but he didn't hate. I don't know.
You have to.
You have to. Yeah, it sounds weird coming out.
Before puffy nipples.
Right.
Okay? You have to.
13 is just weird. Oh, that's what I was saying is about Archie Bunker's place. Is the little Jewish niece girl. She was 13, remember? This became a study. It's so crazy. Like this, I'm going to have to sidetrack here, but so this episode last night was the exact same episode as One Life to Live. What was it?
One Day at a Time.
One Day at a Time, right. And the reality is if you go back and you look, especially in the 80s, it's like there was a list of show topics that every show did.
Yes.
They all did their version of that show. And this was the younger sister likes a boy, And somehow the boy ends up coming over, falls for the older sister, and then the younger sister is like mad at the older sister. And the boy tries to kiss the younger sister or the older sister and tries and an awkward exchange takes place when somebody walks in, and then the younger sister is mad at the older sister because the boy tried to kiss her, or it's the stupidest premise, and the adults don't know how to handle it, and nobody says, "Are you kidding me? He tried to kiss her. She didn't do anything wrong. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's stupid. Why you can't be mad at somebody because of what somebody else does?" And apparently this kid actually has a reoccurring part. He's actually in other episodes. Not sure how that works out. But so this time the girl, she the she likes the boy. He's the quarterback, the ace quarterback, and he's also the smartest kid in the school, and he gets the best grades.
No, the best marks.
The best marks. And she's at the bar, and for some reason he shows up at the bar to meet her. So clearly, because he didn't know about Billy yet. But then Billy walks up and he obviously falls in love with her, and infatuation or whatever. So he figures out, oh shit, okay, hey, he says to the younger one, hey, are you still having trouble in math? How about I come over and help you, so he can make his move on the older one. So then he comes over that night. Well, she comes downstairs. Goddamn cord. She comes downstairs. It's ridiculous how just 80s makeup. It was just terrible. But she's got on this tight shirt, and she's got her little 13-year-old body, and I can't. What would be
She's a little girl. Like I said, you don't even have puffy nipples yet at 13.
It's so weird.
It's gross.
Even at 13, I wasn't pining for other 13-year-old girls.
No, you thought women were hot.
Right. I couldn't wait to get with women and real boobs. I could not wait to touch boobs. The investigator expressed his disgust over this and stated that he did not want to place the girl in any danger. Sokol persisted in saying that he wanted to have a conversation with the girl and share a pizza. After conducting further investigation, the investigator informed Sokol that the pills he had in his car were indeed Cialis. Huh. So he had Cialis in the car.
So did he have a boner talking to Chris Hansen?
Well, he took a Cialis at the table, but he's trying to say it was an IBS pill.
I'm saying.
I mean, he would have a boner the whole time all of this was happening, talking to the police, going to jail.
Right. That makes it funny.
That's
what he gets.
Right, that's exactly it. That's what you get, you piece of shit.
I hope it's super uncomfortable, you sitting there with a boner.
Sokol asserted that he brought them because his vehicle always contained them. At 44, if your dick doesn't work, like, damn, dude. How?
I mean, it must be because he knows what he's doing is wrong.
No, if he has them, it's because he has them he's been using them. He always uses them.
Because he planned on raping her for a super long time and he can't go that long.
But see, that's another little dick guy fantasy or fallacy. Is little dick guys think girls want to fuck all night long. And they don't. They don't. They do when they're younger because they're hoping
maybe they'll eventually actually come.
Right. But, if they get hurt, it hurts after a while. And it's just not doing it for hours on end is not fun for anybody. Unless you're on a whole bunch of drugs and shit, I guess. I don't know. But like that's so crazy. I would never want a 4-hour erection. Never. I wouldn't want it to be, you know, I shoot and then it's still there. Like what am I gonna? How are you gonna sleep? Boing, boing. Like no way. Uh, he insisted during the chats. I was scared I was gonna get in trouble. He keeps saying it like it's some sort of defense. Sokol claimed that he did nothing wrong. Even more repulsed, the investigator advised Sokol to look for help if he believed that grooming a kid for sex was common. Sokol then questioned why he had been arrested if the girl had not been sexually assaulted by him. The investigator clarified that they wouldn't allow him to hurt the decoy. Sokol then placed the blame on society, claiming that everyone believes the teenage girl by saying that sex, quote, is a part of life and shouldn't be viewed negatively. Now remember, throughout the conversation, and this happens a lot with these guys, is the decoy will try to talk about different things in their lives. Try to bring up how they're disillusioned by things. Like try to put the bait out there for the predator to jump on. And these guys just consistently turn it back into dick jokes and always they're so focused and one track minded that they just like
Just there for the sex.
well but
That's all they want. Gross and I can fuck them.
they're so stupid that they believe that these have to really be wanting to believe it to believe it's real, because these decoys are they say the dumbest things. Like a real girl is gonna say over and over again, but so you're okay with me being 15, right? You're okay with me being 14, right? Why would the if anything, a little girl is gonna hide that fact. And if you finally get her to admit it, she's not gonna keep bringing it up. That's the last thing the girl is gonna want you to think about is how young she is. I remember one time I was in Northern California and I was at some random party that we just found ourselves at. And I was drunk. And I'm 21 at the time, I believe, or maybe I'm 20 still, but I'm probably 21. And I'm standing there and this cute girl comes walking up and we start talking and blah blah blah. She said something. Something she said triggered me to go, "Wait a minute. How old are you?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm 15." And that was the last thing I heard because I started laughing and walked away. Like I couldn't even I was so drunk that I couldn't formulate the right things to say. But I knew that I just I literally started laughing. Okay, and walked away. Cuz it was like and that's how I'm pissed drunk. And there's something in what the girl said that made me think you're fucking young. Like what? Because she was cute. She was.
Want to go watch SpongeBob?
Something. I can't even remember what it was because I literally said, wait. How old are you? Like it was something. I don't know. I couldn't remember what it was. But like that's how that's you know that's how it should be. Like if anything, it shouldn't be that way. I should have been nicer about it and been like, oh goodness, like what are you doing? You shouldn't be here talking to old men. But then I'm weird and all that. But still, I, the only thing I instinctively knew to do when I'm hammered drunk, get laid, no doubt about it, is laugh and walk away. It was just,
That bad.
no, nuts are not that important.
masturbate or prison. I will take masturbate. Thank you.
Or look for someone else. Jesus Christ. It's not the only option there.
I just can't imagine how somebody could, again, see the. That's
I talked to
and
the girl
it's-
for like 2 minutes too. It wasn't
Right.
like it was a long conversation. You know, it
Well,
was that
somebody
quick that she
fucked
said
that girl that
something.
night.
Probably. Yeah.
That's the crazy.
She came up to me, so she wasn't like.
Shy about it.
And where we were up in Laytonville, like that was commonplace. There wasn't, you know. It wouldn't
The
have been
type of
weird.
parents that allowed her to be at that party
Right.
is the type of child that you don't want to get wrapped up with.
And nobody in that circle, because of where we were, they would have thought anything of it. They would have been like, oh yeah.
Ew.
Right.
Even worse.
Just fucking strange. Good old Laytonville.
Well, you don't have any other options.
Right, that's what it was up there. There were very, very, very few options. Especially if you were on the better looking side of things. There were plenty of options if you didn't have very high standards. But the few good looking people, they all knew each other. they all knew each other and
Intimately.
right. They were so shocked by us. We were so like, who the fuck are these guys? God, I was such a dumbass. Oh, the investigator shouldn't be viewed. The decoy, according to Sokol, appeared smart and mature. As the investigator was looking through Sokol's phone, he found that he and the decoy talked about the marriage contract the day they were supposed to meet. The investigator became more outraged at this point and demanded Sokol to tell the truth. As part of his arrogant demeanor, Sokol also stated that he would take a lie detector test to show the court that he had no intention of having sex with the girl. The detective mentioned how Sokol appeared proud when he spoke about the marriage contract, and he had wanting to have the mother's consent in order to have the child without being sent to prison. Oh, and how he had wanted to have. Okay. Sokol claimed to have, quote, learned his lesson and to have had good motives. He reiterated that unless it was legal, he wouldn't have had sex with the girl. Like, he just doesn't get it. He doesn't see anything wrong with the fact that she's 13, which means he won't. At 44, if he doesn't know this by now, getting in trouble for it's not going to make him know. He's still out there, still doing the same shit. And the thing is, you know, I've been really reiterating this a lot in my recent videos, the ones that have been shut down to the point where I'm talking to supposedly 2 people. The pedophile thing is so much worse than people realize it is. It's just so bad and so commonplace, and you know, it's unreal that there can be such demand for children. I mean, I don't.
It's so disgusting. I don't get it.
I don't get it at all. I don't get what physically or mentally you can find attractive about children. And it's so goddamn prominent that every single pedo hunter you know is not just catching, you know, 1 or 2 people. They're catching like 2 or 3 people a day. They catch as many people as they physically can. Like if they had more hours in the day, they would catch more people. If they had more manpower, they would catch more people. They're only limited by what they can physically do, and they're catching multiple people a day. A lot of times they got to be like, all right, we got to wrap this up because we got to go meet somebody else. You know, whether it's your friends or your you 100%, you know somebody that has videos on their phone or on their computer, has pictures,
That you have no idea about.
has links,
You have
nothing.
no clue how fucking awful those people are.
You have no clue. And then there, but it's more than that, because there are the couple that you do know that you're like, "Yeah, those kind of weird people." Yeah. It's more, it's not like you have one family member or one friend. You have multiple family members. You have multiple friends that engage in that kind of shit. Male and female. If it wasn't the case, then it wouldn't be what it is. But it's one of the biggest industries in the world because there's so many people doing it. And a lot of these people will tell you, tell your friend, tell people, tell themselves, whatever. Well, it's not like I'm actually physically touching any kids. I'd never do that. I just have these pictures. I just have these videos of somebody else doing it or exploiting the kid or something like that. Like you are, if you have videos, and even though you're just as bad as somebody that's touched a kid. Just as bad. There's no line drawn there. If you watch videos, if you partake in that scene even a little bit, you're just as guilty, just as bad as someone who actually touches kids. There's no distinction there. Because you are touching the kid. You're just, virtually doing it. Somebody else is doing it for you.
They're getting paid based on you clicking to watch it.
Right, exactly.
You are helping them do
They
it.
wouldn't do it if you didn't watch it. If there wasn't the market for it, it wouldn't exist. So fuck you in every capacity. You're just as bad. And I hate saying that because I know that means people I care deeply about are guilty of that shit.
I just can't even think about that. That's so yucky.
It is. It's horrible. But it's the truth. It's why there are so many people that still support Trump. If you can overlook E.J. and Carroll and Epstein, everything associated with Trump, it's not like it's one weird case that, just this completely shocking, you're so surprised, it's so out of character.
Literally everything.
It's top to, it's history all the way, ever since every piece of history associated with this piece of shit. It's all bad. It's all bad. And you're going to overlook it because, and now you're overlooking somebody who is like clearly lost a step or 18. Like he is fucking dumb. Like
No, he got the highest marks in history on the cognitive test. Highest marks. He's the smartest person in this world.
The most cognitive person to ever exist, ever. He's like, you listen to this man talk anymore, and it's like,
I don't know how they do and think, wow, he makes sense.
right? He sounds like the old grandfather that you'd be like, okay, get the mic away from him. Come on. Play the music. Just
Hide the keys.
like he's fucking dumb. Where is this delusion coming from?
Because my bank account is full, and my gas tank is full, and my life's never been so bad.
It's literally no different. It's actually worse. Gas prices that were supposed to be cut in half are more expensive.
They haven't gone up.
Food is way more expensive.
Well, that's
Like,
because of the farmers.
And the gas prices have absolutely gone up. Not a lot, but they've gone up. And if they drop 10, 15 cents, people flip out like that's some huge accomplishment. Like it's not going to swing back in the next month or two.
Oh no, that means they're down. That's good. Trump's good. Jobs are good.
It's just
Everybody's hired.
wild.
Jobs are good.
It's just fucking crazy.
Hayden.
Trump is violating the
Vile.
fucking
Just vile.
First Amendment. He is destroying the First Amendment to protect a foreign country by which he clearly works for. That clearly controls him and the government. And everybody's just like, all these trumpets, all these maggots, Trumpanzees, they're just like, yeah, America first. What are you talking about?
Well, and then the people that don't like him, like there's a really large group that think that Putin is telling him what to do. He listens to Putin. Putin, Putin, Putin. I keep hearing that too. And that's just driving me crazy.
People are so stupid. But you have to also remember, these are people that willingly believe there's a man up in the sky who sent his kid down to die for our sins. Like their entire foundation of who
so
they
sick to
are
me.
is
As a fucking kid.
right. The foundation of who they are is based on ludicrous, laughably stupid nonsense.
Well, I mean, doesn't that, as a kid, doesn't that make you think, wow, will my mom do that to me? If God was willing to get rid of their kid, like...
Well, the old school Bible says that you should just kill the disobedient children. That's an old school Bible shit. I mean, it's not even just, it's completely, utterly ridiculous fantasy that you then override your common sense and maturity in order to maintain the belief. Like, just think about how that would be like you truly believing that Santa Claus flies around on Christmas, and like if you just stay up late enough, you'll be able to see him come down the chimney. Knowing that you're an adult who could stay up late all you wanted, you just continue to believe it because, whatever. Like, that you're the adult, you're the one that's supposed to buy the presents, but you're going to just...
the magic dust down the chimney first to make sure everybody's still asleep.
But that would be that would be like you, again, putting all the presents out and then somehow forgetting you did it. And then coming out and be like, holy shit, where'd all these presents come from? Like, it's just, and then, the credit card bills that come later detailing what you spent, like, and you're just like, man, that's weird. Santa sent me those bills, huh? Like, your belief is just asinine, and it's the foundation of who you are. The foundation of who you are is not only ridiculous fantasy bullshit that you think is ridiculous fantasy bullshit when any other culture says something that's similar. All those crazy ass Muslims out there, they just believe wacky wild shit. Basically the same thing. That's how it's stupid. You would think it was stupid if any other person said it, any other group said it. You'd be like, no, it's not it, Jesus. But that, not only is your foundation that, it's also like, at the same time, you're told about this separation of church and state, but you don't see that. And you're if your foundation is fantasy bullshit that you have to have faith in order to believe, then where does that stop? You've already proven that you're willing to believe in utter just nonsense as long as it's presented to you the right way. So what happens when they provide you with multiple books and a consistent narrative across all of the organizations that they fund and they created and the curriculum that they created, and they say, okay, well, there's, this is the history of things. What's the difference? The like frustratingly glaring contradiction, and again, this is where my wife sort of comes in, is it's like, thinking Tartaria isn't important and all that part. Well, there's, the evidence that something else is happening or has happened is literally all around us. And the evidence that we as humans were capable of so much more than we are today is again all around us. So I can't drive through the city and see old world buildings everywhere and not ask, like, where the fuck did these come from? I gotta go to forget it. But I see the architecture all the time. And it just doesn't make any sense. Detroit has so much of the old architecture. But it's even more than that, because again, it's like everybody in Detroit, you know about it, but you don't know anything about it. But you know that there is a city underneath Detroit and it's made of salt. You know that, there's the salt mines here. You don't really know anything about them, but you know they exist. They were supposedly found in the early 1900s. Like 1900s, not 19 teens, early 1900s, late 1800s. And how did they get down 1,000 feet? What did they use back then? They just hammers and chisels, huh?
No.
1,000 feet and then build all the machinery? Because, the shaft to get down isn't very big.
These rodents and rabbits. Have you ever seen bugs?
But the narrative is that the shaft to get down isn't very big. So they had to lower every piece of every machinery, every building, everything was lowered down. How did they get that opening? How? What are we talking about? My grandparents were born in the 20s, 30s, 40s. But I can't, I'd love to talk to somebody whose grandparents can say they remember the Pentagon being built. They were there, they saw it, they remember what the land was like before the Pentagon was there. And I'd love to talk to somebody like that. There should be somebody that age around. I mean, it's 41. There should be somebody that could be, 80, 90 years old that's still alive and can say, I was 10 years old. I remember it. If you were born in 30, you'd be pretty fucking old by now. But if you were born in 30, you'd be 10 years old, 11 years old by 31, 41.
Kirk remembers. I mean,
He wasn't there.
In Washington, but
right.
I'm sure he remembers hearing all the news reports about it and the progress.
I'd love to ask him. Maybe you should ask Jan. I mean, it should exist, but so again, do you honestly believe that 1941 technology built the Pentagon in 14 months? 5 stories above ground, 2 basements, 2 below the ground floors. And remember, the Pentagon is concentric rings of buildings. So it's not just one building, it's like 5 buildings per section going in. It's the second largest office building in the world. And they built it in 14 months. From 15 months if you include getting the permits and the surveying and the planning and all that. It took about a month to plan, not even a month, really, but about a month to plan the whole thing. They actually selected the site on September 2nd and then started digging and building on September 11th. So 9 days. It took 9 days from the time they selected the site to the time construction started for the Pentagon, which was completed in 14 months. From September 11th, 1941, to like January 26th, maybe, or 22nd, I can't remember, of 1943. So essentially
They were
over
really determined.
over 2 winters.
They
You
were
know.
very determined to get it done, so
Mm-hmm.
they did. What you put your mind to, you can
And
accomplish.
and halfway through, the lead architect engineer guy had to be replaced.
Well, I mean, he had a second-hand man that was right there, stuck right up for him.
And there are no construction photos.
Well, no, it was the Pentagon. You can't share the secret. They didn't know which rooms were going to be used for what, so they had to hide all of it. And
It took a year. So September 11th attacks were the 60th anniversary of the construction beginning.
oh, they were?
Yep. Not the 59th, not the 61st, the 60th year anniversary of the construction of the. And it took a year to repair the one section that was hit by the airplane. Took a year to repair it. Took 13 years from like 97 to 2002, or maybe 97 to 2000 or something like that. I can't remember what the actual date was, but I think it's 13 years. 13 years to renovate it.
Well, yeah.
Took 14 months to build from nothing, from swampland. It was swampland.
Yeah, well.
They were
Yeah.
able to
Faster to do construction.
in 1941.
New construction than remodel. It is easier.
There's not doing any construction. They're just so 13 years longer?
I mean, that seems excessive. But, you know.
Well, and, you know, we're talking about you have to dig down at least two basements. We don't actually know, but on record, 2 basements worth down. You have to dig into the swampland, the roads, run all the utilities, lay the foundations, let that shit dry, then build all the other. And it's ornate. It's actually a lot more ornate than you think it is, with Greek pillars all over the place and all that shit.
They had to make it pretty.
Right. 14 months in 1941.
I think you're just being a hater, quite honestly.
For sure.
You're just jealous that your house doesn't look like that.
Yeah, I would want nothing to do with a house that big. Are you kidding me? Like, the thing is, most of you have no real idea how big the Pentagon is.
No,
you think
I
you do.
didn't realize that it was that big.
It's so much bigger than you think it is. Like, it's incredibly huge. And again, it's like 5 rings. So not only is it one building, it's 5 buildings. Built in 14 months. Over 2 winters from 1941 to 1943. By the designers, the designer that got the gig was specifically, this was their first project together. They were established in the West separately as magnificent building builders that are still here today, that were able to be built in a year and shit like that. But they were brought together for this one project. And then, halfway through, like I say, the lead guy gets removed from his position for inappropriate relations with someone. But they don't give too many details. So, did he get caught fucking with kids? Because back then, I mean,
No.
you could slap chicks on the ass all day.
Well, no. Okay, so what year was 9 the age of consent?
100 years ago.
It was 100 years?
That's what the argument was. I don't know.
Ew.
But just think about how I'd look that shit up, but I don't want that shit in my
No.
history.
Oh, I'm not looking it up.
I'm not scared. I'll look it up. I don't care. I don't care. I don't have anything to fucking get me in trouble. I got nothing to fear.
If they were gonna come get you, it would have been after that AI conversation.
That was 2 days ago.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
We still have, you know.
I was holding my breath that day.
The thing fucking telling me I'm gonna remember what you said. I wish I would have taken more pictures because the conversation was crazy. Much crazier than you think. I need to do that on here. I need to go live with an AI and just see what it has to say. Because it's again, when AI tells you there are no concrete examples of Israel helping the United States, that is extremely telling. The U.S. was in a desperate position for this, so Israel swooped in to help for that. What are you talking about? Oh, the one thing they did say was that after Katrina, I believe, after one of the hurricanes, I can't remember which one it was, Israel helped out by sending some doctors or something like that. That was one of the claims
They
it
sent
made.
some lawyers to sue.
And I even said, like, that's just a claim. I think that was the part where I was like, that's just a claim. Who says that? What evidence is there of that? Just because they say it happened doesn't mean it happened.
Well, that's cynical. Do you question everything that says that they helped that way?
No, but everything doesn't get the benefits and the supremacy that they get. If something else was held to that standard and given that much opportunity and advancement and shit, then I would absolutely question them. But nothing else even comes close. The closest thing is, I guess, the church, and I question that shit all the time. But nothing else even comes close, and that's what's so shocking is that people just don't think about it like that. But like, this is literally a group of people that say because of who they were born to, because their parents believed this one thing, and they were born to that family and then studied this one group, this one, that they're superior. And it's not like, oh yeah, okay, we're better, it's not like that. No, this is like, we are superior. You need to bow down before us. We have all of the advantage. Don't talk out of line. Don't say anything that we don't want you to say. Don't you have to support everything we do. Yes, we control your government with AIPAC, but don't you dare talk about it. Like, this is huge. This is so much worse and just crazier than the surface version that everybody's sort of freaked out about. But it's, part of the freak out is the confusion that comes with it. Because at some point you have to start wondering who they is, who them is. You can talk about they and them for so long before it's like, well, who the fuck am I even talking about?
Pretty coincidental that now we have all kinds of friends that refer to themselves as they and them.
I don't have any issues with any of that. I really don't.
I'm not saying that there's issues. I'm just saying that
the
terminology just seems bizarre in light of this conversation.
I guess. You could probably put it together if you want to.
That's what conspiracy theories all are, putting things together, right?
To a degree, but, not... Like, for me, it's about putting together things that are already... It's not even putting them together. It's seeing them together, seeing the connection. I'm not putting anything together. It's just there. Like, I guess the putting together aspect is the trying to explain the unexplainable, right? Because you have to be able to explain, how do you have an entire group of people that not only believe themselves to be superior, but are willing to either do themselves, cover for, or ignore the a fucking genocide that's taking place right now. You know, and it's
Because it's rightfully their land and they were attacked first.
but
They're
this is
defending
the whole thing. Like, it's like, that's not a real thing. That's, you could say it's rightfully yours because of the fake Bible. Are we saying that global policy is being dictated by
what most people don't believe is fake, yes.
a book from 1611, and that's supposed to be separate from church and state? Like, we're not supposed to be doing things like that. Our government is not supposed to be involved
Well, we
in
can't make
religious
laws
war.
based on it, but it doesn't mean that things are not done for it.
Yeah, but that's, and if that's the case, if that's the case, then to expect some sort of evidence to support this narrative is not unreasonable. We're talking about something that is atrocious. So there should be some justification there. If you're going to commit atrocities, then you better be justified.
Well, like I said, most people believe that the Bible is a legitimate book.
Which is
Therefore,
crazy.
That provides, the justification.
But how? Where does the Bible say anything about what's going on? Even if you believe that, right? Even if you believe that, where does it actually justify today's situation? Where does it say in the Bible that Israel should commit genocide? I mean, it's insane. And if anybody wants to say, well, if you're going to say that's not what's happening, then there's no point in talking to you, because you're just being ridiculous. The thing that they're showing us, which is far less than what's actually happening, shows you a genocide. They've been bragging about it. They were bragging about doing it before they got elected, before they got put back in position. Netanyahu, Bezalel Smotrich, Itamar Ben-Gvir, Avi Mo, the coalition that's in charge right now ran on the platform that they were going to retake the Gaza Strip. This isn't some fucking surprise. And at the end of the day...
You know what? It's the same motherfuckers that are saying, looking at Trump randomly bombing boats as, yay, we're winning the war on drugs. He's doing something about it. It's the same.
Which, it's the same sicknesses everywhere. And that's what we need to address. We need to address that sickness that you believe what you choose to believe without any evidence to show you that. And we should apply that to everything. Unlike you, not you, but you in general, I'm willing to be wrong. I don't think I am, but I'm willing to be. And if you can provide me with something that shows me that I am, and I can't refute it, and you can answer my questions, well, then I'll believe what you have to say. I didn't get to this position being rigid and not being willing to be wrong. I was wrong about a lot of shit. That's how I got here. I would have argued with you all day and night about the flat earth thing and how stupid that is. That's just some Christian bullshit, blah, blah, blah. When I watched one of the videos, Under the Dome, the entire set of videos that presented me with a whole bunch of information and said, here, what do you think about this? I couldn't help it. I was like, oh, I guess I was wrong. There was nothing else I could do. What am I going to be like? Oh, well, obviously, you know, this is all like you don't have a whole bunch of evidence against something and that something is real.
Everything can be manipulated when it comes to something that you can't go personally prove. You can't go personally prove anything about the earth. So any of the information presented to you can be completely manufactured and you have no idea. It's just like the history books. So I don't believe any of it.
Well, I know I've seen personally, I believe I've seen.
You think you see.
Yeah. No, I know I saw it. There's no questioning whether I saw it or not. And the only thing that makes sense and it fits in with the narrative. Like it's the idea that the dome is made of a bunch of smaller squares or octagons or whatever, but that create the image that we see. That's a pretty wherever that came from. That's been an old narrative, but whatever. I saw it. I didn't know that's what I saw at the time. I had to put it together 20 years later, 15 years later. But I know I saw it, and it didn't make sense to me when I did see it. What the fuck is that square? What the fuck is going on? Because what I saw was I saw a broken star that was going like this. It was just doing like this. I woke up at 3 in the morning to pee. I was up in the mountains of Northern California. I had been drinking and smoking. I was all fucked up. And I woke up to pee, and I'm standing there, and I I'm in the mountains. There's no one around. You just pee wherever. I look up, and I see this fucking star doing this. In my head, I thought, oh, it's a broken star. Like, I couldn't... A UFO doing this just... If anything was inside that, its fucking brains would be scrambled. Like, it was weird, right? It looked like when you take a mouse on a screen and you just move it all around like... But it was staying in this one area, and it wasn't zooming all over. It was just staying in this one area. And it just happened to be that the dude who owned the mountainside that we were on, his whole family was up on the mountain that night. And he had like 8 kids. And his mom was there, and his uncle was there, his brother was there, and his wife, and there was a whole bunch of people there. And my dumbass woke everybody up because I didn't want to be like, am I just fucked up seeing things? And I was like, everybody, you gotta see this. Check this out. And everybody came out, and they saw it, and they were like, oh, that's crazy. And over the next, some people went right back to bed. A couple people stayed and watched for a little bit, but I set up a chair, grabbed my bong, and I just started. I watched as the stars passed through their progression, while this one star stayed in the same spot doing this. And eventually, the stars start going away, and there's that point just before dawn where everything has like a blue color. There's no sun, but it's still like a blue. It's not nighttime anymore because you can see further. It's not dark. It's like a weird blue color. It's only like a half-hour window, 15, 20-minute window, I don't know, in the morning. It's like that every morning. And during that time frame, the square that the star was in was like a shade or two darker than the rest of the sky around it. And I saw a perfect square. And it was going like that. But it was getting lighter, and it was slightly darker so you could see it. And that only lasted, like I say, 15, 20 minutes, and then the sun came up, and it got light, and eventually everything faded out. I could still see the star. It was one of the last stars to actually go away. And it was one of these things that I just put away. Even if somebody's talking about UFOs, what the fuck am I going to talk about? That was a UFO? Didn't seem like a UFO to me. And then when I had gotten surgery, and I was all hopped up on painkillers, and super arrogant version of guy on painkillers. And I was like, you know what? I'm sick of all this. I'm going to watch one of these videos. And I'm going to be the one to debunk it. And I started watching Under the Dome by Mark Sargent. And it was like a 30-part series that, I don't know, I happened to stumble across the compilation video of all of them. So it was like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of watching. And at the end of each part, he had his phone number and he would encourage people to call him. And so I watched the whole thing, and about 10 minutes into it, I knew I was fucking in trouble. I knew I was wrong. I knew I was wrong. And so after the final part ended, it was like 1 in the morning here, 1:30 in the morning here. But I noticed his number was 757, so I figured it was California number. He might still be up. You don't put your phone number on the end of videos if you don't want people calling you. And if it's too late, I'm sure he just had. So I called him, and he answered. And I was like, oh, wow, and I asked him, do you get a lot of people that call you? And he said, surprisingly, no. But he was saying that the next day, it was his first time going to be on the coast to coast with, what's his name? He was going to be on the Coast to Coast AM show. And he was getting his presentation ready. And I told him the star story. And like the first time I had brought that story up in forever. But it just sort of popped in my head. And when I was done with it, kind of at the same time, he said, you saw the dome. And at the same time, I said, I saw it like dawned on me. Holy shit, I saw the dome. And we talked for a minute, and that was that. And he did the show the next day. I think I told him the story because I was like, oh yeah, well here's a story you could tell. I think I saw something. But I brought this up because my wife was saying, there's no way to prove any one thing or another. And that's sort of the backbone of my entire argument, is that there's sort of like a math about it, right? When you understand, one, that it's all a manipulation to begin with. And looking at things like Wikipedia, you're looking at the truth that they want us to have. So when the truth that they want us to have, whether it's Wikipedia or even the more in-depth version of the story that's referenced or whatever, the guy that builds the bridges, because we drag bridges over mountains with fucking railroad cars and donkeys.
Donkeys climb over the top of mountains all the time.
Right. Because we couldn't figure out how to build a bridge. We can build a levee system with fucking donkeys pulling railroad cars over mountains with ships that would be broke. They were pulling the railroad cars over mountains because the railroad cars were hauling the ships that had to be cut in half to be able to be brought over the mountain, because they just couldn't figure out bridges yet. But you look into the stuff, and when you look at the narrative that they want you to have, and without being told to think any certain way, you just have questions, or you notice the flaws in the narrative. Well, that's truth. You might not know exactly what's being, what the actual factual of the incident is, but you know that the narrative that you're supposed to know, the narrative that's supposed to be the truth, is fucking bullshit. That's enough. That's enough to get the ball rolling. Will I know what the actual truth is? Probably not. But I know that if we finally all unify and overthrow the people that give us the broken narrative, then we'll actually have access to the truth. And then we can know, I mean, it's but as far as the research goes, how do you do it? Well, again, look at what they want you to know. Don't go looking in the conspiracy circles. I mean, do, because you do, it's good to get other people's perspectives and all that, but do it after you do it yourself, right? Because like I always thank Dr. Judy Wood in this perspective, because I consider myself a forensic archaeologist when it comes to this shit, right? Because she said she has from my opinion, she has the best take on 9/11, and her take is one of mainly what we're told happened doesn't match what we see happened. Does she give you a conclusive answer as to what happened? No. But she does conclusively debunk the narrative that we're given. And what she said was she doesn't talking to people like what she would do as a forensic archaeologist is she would show up to a place where a building collapsed, and she would try to figure out how the collapse happened. And she said she never wanted to talk to anybody else or get their opinions on things because she didn't want them to influence her. Because once somebody tells you what happened, you're either looking to try to figure out and you're overlooking whatever it was to anything to the contrary, because you would go and let the building tell her what happened. And that's why because you're supposed to think you're a stupid ass, right? You're not supposed to believe that your dumb ass can see the lies, the big lies that the entire system and everybody else just falls, but you see it differently. Ugh. Like, people will attack you with that. But this is universal truth. This is common sense shit. If I go and I read the narrative, and the narrative that I'm supposed to believe doesn't make any sense, then it's a fucking lie.
Well, there is the possibility that maybe you just don't understand it and it needs to be better explained. There is that. I'm not saying you personally, saying anybody in general.
Sure, that's the case. And
don't be
there
so
are
arrogant that you think you're gonna get everything without further explanation.
Well,
There's
but
that.
simple shit like with dry ice, right? When you say dry ice was first witnessed in 1835, okay. When a guy opened up his liquid CO2 container, and as it evaporated really quickly, it left behind dry ice. That's the first time it was observed and written down, apparently, by this random guy in France or some shit. Yeah. To get to CO2 doesn't exist in our atmospheric conditions. Liquid CO2. That's why you have dry ice, because CO2 is either solid or it, quote, sublimes into a gas state, meaning it skips over the liquid state. That's what subliming is. That's what CO2 does. In our atmospheric conditions, liquid CO2 cannot exist. The only way you get liquid CO2 is by, first you have to collect a bunch of CO2 gas somehow in your bladders. They called them bladders, but they would collect them in the bladders. Then they would
get it in there.
Then they would condense that CO2, compress it, and refrigerate it at the same time to temperatures well below zero. And it would eventually become liquid, which they would then have in a pressurized, contained container with liquid CO2 in it, with highly pressurized liquid CO2 in it that immediately becomes gas as soon as it hits the air. So what techniques did they have in 1835 to not only collect a whole bunch of CO2, but then condense and refrigerate it? What was the refrigerant that was used? It's sort of a chicken and the egg situation, because dry ice is the refrigerant, but how do you create dry ice to begin with to refrigerate the thing down to low enough?
Regular ice.
Regular ice does not get that cold. Regular ice is nothing.
You use enough of it?
No, doesn't matter how much you use. And where would they even get regular ice from?
Antarctica? Alaska?
Right. They would have to have
Canada?
some direct lines to some really far places that then they would have to have, because if you brought the ice in, you would have to bring it in a refrigerated cart. How did you refrigerate the container?
Igloos.
Right.
They built igloos on the trains.
So that's what I mean. When it comes to whether it makes sense to you or not, that's what I mean. It's not about
Okay, but
whether
again,
somebody's
just
not
because
explaining.
You don't have the answers doesn't mean there's not an answer for it. Is all I'm saying.
I get it. And that's not what I'm saying either. I'm saying the answer that we've been given is bullshit. There's clearly an answer. Dry ice exists. But how, and then it wasn't for another 100 years before somebody decided to patent the process, which again, they don't really explain how they just created this. Again, in the early 19 aughts or 19 teens, can't remember, where they just somehow had this mass refrigeration system that was in place, coolant, and where did that all come from? And try to look into it. Try to find a reasonable history on any of that shit. At the same time, when I look into gas lighting, not gaslighting, but gas lighting, how we even have one in front of our house where it's a light pole that used to be hooked into the gas lines that ran underneath everywhere. Yeah. Well, how the fuck did they run all those gas lines everywhere? And so you then look into the history of it, and you come to find out the Chinese, as early as 500 BC, were using bamboo to run gas lines underneath the ground to keep houses lit and lighted and heated. You know, with bamboo. But it wasn't until the 1800s, the late
83?
The late 1880s or so. No, maybe it's a little earlier with this one, but I think it's around the same time. That white people in Europe finally figured this out. The Chinese, all the way, a different planet of China, knew it in 500 BC, 1500 years earlier, 1700 years earlier. They could do it with bamboo, and yet Europeans didn't figure that shit out till the late 1800s. And then, thanks to a Jewish guy, it became this massive industry in Europe, and like suddenly there's all these gas producing facilities just go. Where the fuck are they getting all this gas from? What is happening that there's such an immense production of gas that they're running it for free all throughout the city underneath people's houses so that their gas light bills, so that they, like, think about how, where did this surplus of gas come from? And they all just figured it out, and the company, and then the Jewish guy, the rabbi who decided to leave shit to become this guy, he marries into the Rothschild family, and they bring it to all of Europe. You know, I mean, the narrative is just dumb. But you do that with anything. I did a deep dive into bricks. Something none of you ever even bother to think about. They're all, the evidence is all around you, underneath your feet. How many different times have you heard the story of a street somewhere having some sort of something happen to the top several layers of the ground, only to show that there was a brick pavement underneath? No. Look at all the brick buildings from history. Look at all the structures, all the monuments that are supposedly hundreds, thousands of years old in some cases, and they still exist. Look into the production of bricks. Bricks are a really difficult process. Bricks require a shit ton of materials, not just for the brick, but to also feed the kilns. Because they have to run at really high temperatures for really long periods of time. And the billions and billions of bricks that have existed And again, some currently still exist in our history. Where the fuck did they all come from? How were they shipped all over the place? There weren't shipping companies and shit like that. Where did all these? How did they get transported?
Pigeons.
Pallets of bricks. You know how heavy
They
that
just
shit
threw 'em
is.
on the train cars that the donkeys were taking over the mountains.
Right. I mean, even trains. We don't even think about that. Just how, huh? We just made trains. And then there are all the pictures that show buried train tracks that they weren't actually building the railroads. They were digging them out. The bullshit narrative that there's the record day that they laid the most train tracks. And what is that shit? I need to keep reading Jeffrey Sokol. I'm gonna go back to this. Look into bricks, it'll blow your fucking mind. Let's see. The decoy. You're smart. The investigator became the truth. The detective mentioned how Sokol appeared proud when he spoke about the marriage contract, and he had wanting to have learned his lesson, good motives. He reiterated that unless it was legal, he wouldn't have sex with the girl. Sokol claimed that he was scared shitless and that his arrogant demeanor was a hallmark of his character. I thought it wasn't who he was. The interview was ended by the investigator because he was unable to handle Sokol's lies and haughty demeanor. Sokol was originally charged with 3 felony counts: criminal attempted first-degree sexual assault, attempted risk of injury to a minor, and enticing a minor in an obscene performance. How did he not get those? Sokol declared that his friends and family had continued to support him. Not me. If you were my friend and I found out you were on that show, oh my God, no. He said he had volunteered at the fire station and an aquarium. Doesn't he have a business degree? He added that he played tennis and performed martial arts. What? He claimed to this is his testimony. What? He claimed to the judge that he was trying to, quote, lighten the situation by, quote, making a joke when he was being arrogant with Hansen in order to alleviate his stress. Oh, yeah, that's what you were doing, trying to lighten the mood by being an arrogant prick. What? Then he asserted that he had undergone a forensic examination and had been expertly assessed and found him to be normal. What evaluation are we talking about? Where's the evidence to this?
It was Trump's cognitive test. He took the same one.
Probably. Then he asserted that he had undergone forensic exam. Sokol said that being exposed on national television was stressful and embarrassing. Sokol's attorney, Norman Pattis, mentioned that his client had 2 previous attorneys. He said that Sokol had deep goodness and was profound.
No.
He then unbelievably said that the age of consent in the United States was usually 9 to 13 years old back then.
Ew.
But changed due to young children being taken advantage of. That's a weird transition. He asserted that it was offensive for the state to say that his client had been arranging a rendezvous to sexually assault a minor for days. Oh, he's offended by that? Gee, I wonder where they were getting that from. He continued by asserting that Sokol had a minimal risk of reoffending because he had a penile plysomograph and had no sexual desires for kids. What is that? Plethysmograph. A plethysmograph is an instrument that measures and records changes in volume often used for non-invasive tests of blood flow or lung function. What?
No idea.
A penile plasmograph is a medical device used to measure changes in penile circumference and, by extension, the degree of male sexual arousal in response to various stimuli. It is used in clinical settings to help diagnose conditions like erectile dysfunction and to assess sexual arousal patterns in individuals, though its reliability and ethical considerations have been debated, particularly in the context of forensic evaluations for sexual offense. What the fuck? This guy had that done, huh? Where is that? Like, where is that? Those papers? Where is that reference that show that? Where's that test? Pattis made an effort to describe how Sokol had to, quote, mask his learning challenges. Pattis claimed that Sokol attended Springfield College but dropped out after struggling. What does any of this have to do with him fucking coming in? Right. They're just trying to make everybody feel so sorry for this fucking poor guy.
Sick. He needs help.
After enrolling at UMass Amherst, which, you know, you don't have to be a good student or anything to go to UMass, right? University of Massachusetts, like, it's not Massachusetts State College where you can just buy your way in. I would assume that the University of Massachusetts Amherst, which is a big fucking college, has some sort of stringent, requirements to get in. You don't just buy your way in. So he must not have been struggling that much, is what I'm saying.
Anybody can go to Eastern. Anybody can go to Ferris. So we don't know.
You're right. He graduated with a degree in sports management, but was still unhappy because he had not discovered true love. Aww. Well, he'd been married and divorced.
Weird pervert that nobody wanted. Oh.
Pattis claimed that Sokol had minor psychiatric problems such as obsessive compulsive disorder and learning disabilities and ADHD and he needs his love but not significant psychiatric problems like schizophrenia. Gee, isn't it weird that they just happen to bring up that one word of all of them? Schizophrenia. They should like to use schizophrenia. I'm assuming the comments are shut off. I haven't seen one in a long time. Pattis emphasized that the medication Sokol consumed while in a sting house was a chlorestiramine pill used to treat irritable bowel syndrome rather than a sexual enhancer. He had the Cialis in his car. He didn't have... Right, no. But he had this one pill that apparently... did they not provide a proof of it, that he had this prescription for it or whatever? He foolishly stated... Oh, wait. It caused him to... Then Pattis claimed that because Sokol had inflammatory bowel syndrome, it had caused him to wear a, quote, mask since high school. Again, what the fuck does this have to do with him raping a child? He foolishly stated that Sokol, quote, broke the law by engaging in conduct that wouldn't have been a crime a century ago.
Who cares? It's a crime now.
That's what you... That's the... Like,
that's
when you...
all that's valid.
But what... You got to put yourself in that lawyer's position. His job is to defend this piece of shit.
I mean...
What else is he going to say?
He's a piece of shit too.
Because that's his job. That's what he gets paid for. He's a defense attorney. He gets paid really good money to defend people, whether he believes it or not. He has to defend them. That's his job. He has to put his own personal the big bucks. He has to come up with some sort of argument. What else could he say? But, this wasn't a crime 100 years ago. Sokol attributed his decision to go to the sting home to the girl having paid him, quote, lots of attention, and having, quote, loneliness as well. The judge was unimpressed, saying that Sokol would have harmed a real child if one had been present. Sentenced. On March 17th, Judge Robert Devlin sentenced Sokol to 7 years in prison, suspended after serving 2.5 years, and 10 years of probation for a downgraded charge of attempted second-degree sexual assault charge for the charge of attempted risk of injury to a minor. Sokol was sentenced to an additional 2.5 years to be served. What do you think?
Consecutively?
Concurrently,
Oh
yes.
no, they wouldn't do that.
Yep. So that means it was at the same time as the 2.5 years from before. So he doesn't have to serve 5 years in total.
They don't do that.
Now, if he was black, like Michael Jackson Bolanos, who they tried to level all those charges against for the Samantha Woll murder, and they couldn't get any of them to stick. So they gave him a lying to police charge and gave him 18 months to 25 years in prison for lying to police. This guy got 6 more months in jail, in prison, for trying to fuck a kid. And who knows if Michael Jackson Bolanos will ever get out. I want to know if he's out. I have to look him up. Judge Devlin also required Sokol to register as a sex offender for 10 years and pay a $151 fine. 10 years after 10 years, he's just off the list? On November 6, 2017, Sokol disobeyed a direct order from a prison guard and was punished with loss of recreation for 15 days. In July 2018, Sokol tried to change his legal name to Sonny Derek Porter, but his request was eventually denied. The affidavit for his name change can be found online. Sokol was denied parole in 2018 and had to wait until June 2019 to be released from prison. He has to be on probation through 2024 and remain registered as a sex offender until 2029. Sokol has kept a low profile since his release from prison, with the last publicly available photograph of him taken in early 2021. He is said to have sold his apartment and moved back in with his affluent parents.
Oh, so his life's really extra hard.
Oh boy. That's disgusting. With his rich friar parents. What the fuck do you expect? This guy is a monster. He's out doing it again.
Oh, for sure.
He's out doing it again. Don't get it twisted.
Oh,
They probably have, he's probably in Israel at this point. He's probably living it up in Israel. That's why he hasn't been seen publicly since 2021.
Do you think they sent him back?
Of course they did. Have you seen the map of... Can I see your phone for a second? Oh, wait. Okay.
Blake's been engaging in all the typical bullying behaviors, intimidation, name calling, and recently he started taking Charlie's things. His calculator, his Nintendo Switch. Don't feel bad. Kids are often afraid to come forward about being bullied.
This is a map of all of the registered sex offenders in Israel.
Well, we found the only cure.
That just can't be.
Are you kidding? It is. It's.
Like, that's my brain immediately says no, that can't be real.
Yeah.
You know, like that's unreal.
Israel maintains a sex offender registry, but it is not publicly available. Access is restricted to law enforcement and relevant authorities for monitoring and supervision purposes, not public notification. That's fucked up. Hey, I want to see, what's that guy that just won the mayor spot? New York mayor. Zohar. Yeah, it's Zohar something. Zohar Mandami. Puerto Rico. That's the thing that comes up. Let me see something. Zoran Mandami, American politician, mayor-elect for New York City, member of the Democratic Party. Let's just go to where we want to go. He was born in Kampala, Uganda, to academic Mahmoud Mandami and filmmaker Mira Nair, both of whom are of Indian descent. Then why is there so many pictures of him in yarmulkes and shit? It's weird. He's a communist, according to Trump.
Well, I believe that then. Trump said it, fucking it. It is true. You know, he did get the highest test scores on the cognitive test ever.
NPR does this. ADL creates new Mamdani Monitor project to track his administration policies. Can you imagine if it was the other way around? If you had a special organization that was designed to preference one group of people and somebody else outside of your group, or if a Jewish guy got into some sort of position of power and you said, oh, we're going to create a special wing to watch him. Do you know how much shit they would throw and be like, you're discriminating, that's racist, how dare you do that, blah, blah, blah. The leader of the ADL, an organization that fights anti-Semitism, which is very true, they do, right? Anti-Semitism is something you should be proud of. It opposes supremacy. Semitism is supremacy. So if anti-Semitism is therefore you oppose supremacy. So when you're doing stuff that opposes their supremacy, they're right. It is. Explaining his group's decision to set up a special project to monitor Zohran Mandami, the mayor-elect. Mandami, the first Muslim and person of South Asian descent elected to lead the nation's largest city, which includes a friar population of well over 1 million people. He is also a critic of Israel and its war in Gaza. After his victory, the ADL took an unprecedented step, announcing an initiative to track and monitor Mandami administration policies and appointments. That sounds like a threat. The project includes tracking actions by Mamdani's administration that, quote, that impact friar community safety and security. Oh, they don't want their funding to get lessened. They're worried that their funding is going to get lessened because Cuomo just kept funneling money into the community, for safety reasons. It was all about safety. Whatever. You know what? I don't even care. Go check out. Yeah, this is a long ass article. I'm not about to read it though. Go check out the receipts in the description. Lots of links, lots of good shit to check out. Especially check out the Bottom of Darkness article and watch Hollywoodism. If you're too lazy to read and you just want to watch a video, go watch Hollywoodism. But go read the Bottom of Darkness article. It explains it all. Have a great day. Pedophiles, kill yourself.